How we doing? Thank you so much to Lord Sterling with the raid. Much appreciated to the Common Censored crew, the info infantry, if you will. Welcome, everybody, to the Dozer Den. If you cannot tell, I currently have my AI protection device on my head. I figured with the with the topics that we're going to be discussing tonight, I figured that a tinfoil hat may be appropriate. Because guys, the conspiracy theories, they just continue. They continue to be proven quite correct. Quite correct. So I figured this would be appropriate, at least for some of the show. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Well, as I said, welcome to the Dozer Den. I am Bill Dozer 74. There you go. Nice teleportation. I stream Mondays and Thursdays at 9:30 p.m. Central. While you're here, don't forget to go ahead and smash that like button. Comment in the comments section, repost, which is an awesome new feature that Rumble has, at least in the app. I'm not sure about browser, but the repost feature is there. I think it's right by live chat. Kind of threw me off the first couple of times. I went to click live chat and I accidentally hit the repost. I said, oh my goodness, what has happened here? So, what's up, big ass life? Good to see ya. Yeah, we red pilled that pink buddy. That's damn right. That is damn right. Let me make sure everything is going well on Rumble real quick. Let's make sure. But yeah, we don't forget to follow the channel, by the way. We hit 474, by the way. Just got a new follower right before the show. Let me look at who it was. Texas Outlaw Michael Sands or Sains. Thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. Hopefully I will earn your viewership. That is the goal here, and the biggest goal is to inform and entertain. Guys, if I can provide a little bit of information and do it in a somewhat entertaining way, well, you know what? I feel like I've probably done my job. So that's the goal here. As I said earlier, we stream twice a week currently. Doesn't mean that that won't change at some point. We might be looking at 3 days a week here coming up shortly. If you guys keep liking what I'm doing here, I'm going to keep laying it down. Got Lord Sterling coming in the chat with a good old re. Yes, indeed. Much appreciated. Thank you so much for the raid. Guys, I am, just to give you a heads up, it started last stream. The sniffles, the raspy feeling on my soft palate. And now I'm in full-blown man cold. Full-blown man cold. Actually took half the day off earlier from work and got some rest and, drank some water, did things. Got a good sweat, trying to maybe sweat it out. Didn't go how much of the Bulldozer foil hats. I'm thinking about. I got to get the pricing set up yet. Maybe gonna add some little details on the side. I actually thought about having Lady Dozer do some merch or something for the channel. She's excellent at crocheting and she is crafty as heck. So that's a possibility. We might have that happen. Who knows? What's up, Wendy? Good to see you. It was fun hanging out with you in the chat for Dark Side. Is it Dark Side Radio? Some good music last night, and over in Adonis Paul, of course. The degeneracy. Yeah. If I it's the AI sniff. That's right. I'm trying to combat the AI viruses that they are beaming into our heads. Funny story is, I actually had an aunt that was legit schizophrenic who believed that the Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma was actually transmitting messages into her brain. She may have plowed into the gates with her car. I'm not sure. I don't know. I wasn't there. What's up, T folks? Good to see ya. I don't think I've seen you in the chat before. Is that the new follower, Texas Outlaw Michael Sands? Thank you so much for following. Don't forget to smash that like button. Yeah, I saw Wendy everywhere last night. I swear I wasn't stalking you. At some points, Wendy, I thought you might have been stalking me. Because I would, go over to one place and then all of a sudden there's Wendy. And I went over back to Adonis Paul and oh my God, there's Wendy. Just playing. Good to see you, Texas Outlaw. Thanks so much for the follow, man. T folks. What is that? T McGroin. Ah, nice. Okay, okay. See, it shows up different over here on this chat. So, I should probably check and make sure my audio is good, right? That's a good idea. Something that you're supposed to do if you're doing a stream, right? Ah, nah. But yeah, I'm a little under the weather. A little when he gets around. We all get around in the chat. Yeah, yeah. It's just a man cold. It's a man cold. That's all it is. Although it could be the Rona. Who knows? Which, guess what? Is still just a man cold. Or just a cold. Mostly. For the most part. Let's check on Rumble real quick. Make sure things sound okay and look okay. It's worth a shot, anyways. Yeah, I'll get better. And here's the thing. With the sniffles and the voice being what it is right now. Yeah, Wendy caught the cold. You're welcome, Wendy. Um, with the voice being what it is, I am probably going to be playing more videos tonight than reading articles. I do have the first part that we are going to do, first topic of the night, of course. It's got to be the Fedsurrection because, oh my god, guys, the tinfoil hat people, we're we're so crazy. We're just crazy conspiracy theorists. Turns out they admitted to at least 26 CHSs, confidential human sources, aka Fed boys. Fed boys in the crowd. Now, I will say that my opinion on that is, they say like when you see one cockroach, there's probably hundreds in the walls, right? And I'm thinking if they admitted to 26 Fed boys already, you know that there were probably at least a couple hundred. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So we have some clips on that. We have the summary, the introduction and the summary we might read through from the Inspector General report. It is an important topic. Um, Screw all the people who said that we were nuts for thinking it. Um, I don't expect that you will ever apologize. But like I had some actually pretty heated conversations with people that I care about, and they instantly shut the conversation down when I mentioned that our government might have been involved in stirring things up on Certification Day 2021, and they literally said, "I have to stop this conversation. We can't talk about this." Like that, if that's what you got to do, it makes me sad. Makes me sad, but especially if it's a smart person. If it's a smart person, that right there. I mean, part of it is a deference to authority type of thing, and some demographics fall prey to that. Some demographics feel that the Vietnam War was justified, and there was Gulf of Tonkin was completely legit, because they trust institutions, they trust authority, and I understand. All right, looks like the audio is going good over there on Rumble. If I do, um, gosh dang, Sterling, that sucks, dude. They believe CNN, the cunt news network, over you. Man, that sucks. Well, and it is the thing. It is the thing. The more information that comes out, the more that we will be proven right. We will be proven correct. And I honestly, it doesn't make me happy to be correct. I don't like being correct about these things. I don't know about anybody else who's in the tinfoil hat crowd, but I don't like being right. I don't. It brings me no pleasure unless somebody's a complete asshole to me about it. Then I can be like, yeah, go fuck yourself. Like, but I'm still not necessarily happy about it. It just kind of is what it is. It's like the it's like it gets scarred over, and it just becomes matter of fact. You know what I mean? Just matter of fact. Oh my goodness. Hell yeah. I love the new username, by the way. I didn't know that you could change the username per chat. Getting dozered. Freaking awesome. New dress for the chat. I love it. I love it. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all. Don't forget to smash that like button, guys. Tap the like button. Leave a little tap, tap, tap. Ooh. Caress the like button. Lean in real close. Whisper sweet nothings into its ear, nibble its ear, and don't do that. That is what Joe Biden does, and we are not going to be creepy Uncle Joe with the damn like button. We're not going to do it. Guys, in the old days of Rumble, it used to be a plus sign, and we affectionately referred to the like button as the plussy. That's PLUSSY. Get your minds out of the gutter. Get yourself your tinfoil hat to protect your innocent virgin brain from degenerate thoughts. No, we would smash the plussy. We would pound the plussy. You would thump the plussy. Violate the plussy. What? My goodness. Not that type of show, guys. It's not that type of show. And again, it was a plus sign. Nothing else. Nothing else at all. No, no. Guys, I don't know if we're gonna go 3 hours tonight. I don't know if we are. I do have a lengthy interview that we are going to get to. But before that, after the excuse me, after the Certification Day 2021 material, which we're gonna talk about a decent little amount. Got some clips here, some clips there, you know. After we get done with that, we are going to roll into the let's go ahead and just call it the Massey minutes for this one because I was watching redacted news or redacted ink yesterday, and Thomas Massey made an appearance. They got a 13-minute clip, and JJR, thank you so much for sending me that short clip. I felt like this one deserved the full 13, so it's going to be more of a Massey segment. Um, so we do have that as lined up for the second topic, talking about the general anaphylactic reaction the deep state is having to Orange Man. So we're gonna watch that. We're gonna do a little bit of watch and react. Like I said, the voice is off, got the drainage, all the sniffles and crap. So figured I would maybe lean on some videos a little bit today, and especially when we get to our third topic of the night. The third topic of the night, guys, with the recent release of the House um, subcommittee or House Committee on COVID. Um, and with the winter months coming around and people like that garbage individual Peter Hotez making comments about what is to come, what is going to be raining down upon the American people and the Trump administration on January 20th or 21st. It's almost like he knows something, right? Garbage little goblin. I swear to God, that son of a bitch deserves to be on the wall after, legal processes and whatnot. Of course, you've got to have that. Oh, wow, my phone recognizes me with the tinfoil hat. It knows. It knows, guys. Let's make sure we got things rolling over there on X from X Peeps. By the way, follow me over there on X as well at Bulldozer74 __. We were up over 3,000, and then I believe there was a little bit of bot pruning that happened. Um, Now I'm down to 27.95. So if you like my approach here, well, you're probably gonna like what I do on over there on X. Get a little bit spicy here and there. I engage with the commies just a little bit. Most of them have left a blue sky. I choose not to do even entertain the idea of creating an account there. Maybe one day, but I really rather not. So, yeah, rub, rub me in hot oil. Rub me in hot oil or die. That's from that's a quote from a movie called Year One with Michael Cera and Jack Black. It's a funny movie. It's a funny movie. It's stupid. It's very stupid, but that's the point. That's the point. Sir Bulldozer. That's right. That's right. Oh, what's up, Trish? Lovely mod in the chat. Thank you so much for mentioning that. Guys, if you would like to donate directly to the Dozer Den, well, there's a Venmo option or a Cash App. You could always send Rumble Rants if you feel so inclined. Or guess what you could also do, guys? You could be one of the amazing individuals who subscribes to the channel here on Rumble for a measly $5 a month. Guys, that's like a couple sodas nowadays. For a measly $5 a month, guess what? That's right, you can be one of the elite killdozers in the Dozer Den. Extra shiny, extra peppy with the tracks, a little bit more effective. But nobody ever has to donate or subscribe. But everyone who does, much appreciated. You guys are Chadley as hell. $5 a month, you get subscriber only emotes. Need to add to those. I know I mentioned it. Someone had some custom ones that I might try working on. Just got to figure that out. And then you also get your name lit up in the most beautiful shade of MAGA red. Infected with patriotism, not illness. Much appreciated. Every little bit of support counts. And we have a Discord community as well. Got like 10 people over there. I was laying down some memes in the meme section of the Discord server. And there is the link, and that is a fresh link. That is one from today. So it should not be expired. If you want to get in the Discord, the Dozer Den with Bulldozer74 is what I titled the Discord. We have some fun there. Posted some of my hunting stuff, my my European mount that my brother-in-law is working on for me. It is doing what it do. By the way, guys, if you have not followed Common Censored yet, go ahead and give Common Censored a follow Monday through Friday, 6:45 Eastern till about 9:45, 10 o'clock, something like that. Goes for about 3 hours talking about news and all the good stuff going on in the world and all the weird stuff going on. Some interesting stuff. Was it the chaotic clusterfuck? Pretty much, pretty much. Oh man. Oh, JJR, you are Chadley as well. You are Chadley as well. Hitting me with the links over there on X. I appreciate it. It's good stuff. After we get done, oh, that's right, that's right. So we're gonna do the interview. It's a lengthy one. It is a lengthy interview, but it's with Jimmy Dore, David Martin, and Jimmy Dore. He has so much information that honestly I don't feel right cutting it. I don't feel right snipping it. I just want to play the whole thing. And like I said, with the crud going around right now, feels like it might just be the right thing to do to maybe lean on some videos today. So that's what we're probably gonna do. Covering all the crazy clown world clusterfuck chaos. That's right. That's right. Sweet alliteration. It's wonderful. All right, gonna go ahead and share this out over there on X. Make sure people are seeing what we're doing here. I noticed that the X feed was lagging behind the Rumble a little bit, which is okay. I am over there on YouTube as well. If you want to follow me on YouTube, Billdozer74. Got a warning last time. They said it was just a warning, but after I completed the training, because they denied my appeal, they said, if I violate terms again, I'll get another strike. So is it a warning or is it a strike, CommieTube? You absolute twat waffles. Um, I figure I'm probably not going to last over there on YouTube very long. If I'm, with 24 followers, I'm getting strikes or getting warnings. Probably not going to last long on YouTube. So my home is Rumble, one of the best free speech platforms we have out there. And close second, I would say, is X. Although X will ban you and suspend you for getting a little bit too saucy in the chats. So you got to be careful. Got to be careful in X. Got to be a little bit more measured than here on Rumble or in Locals, which, by the way, the dozerden.locals.com. I do have a Locals community. Not as active there as I should be. I admit. But I do have the link to the show up with a live chat currently going. I need to figure out how to give people access to communicate in the live chat without having to pay. Because I think you have to pay to be in the live chat, and if people want to get crazy in the live chat, as long as you don't post genitals, Locals is the wild west of the internet, so you can go crazy in there. Yeah. I'm thinking, you know what? If they kick me off, they kick me off. It's whatever. I don't get any traction barely there at all. So get a few views here and there, maybe 10 views here and there. It is what it is. It is what it is. Going and sharing on X. Oh man, guys. Hope you guys have had a good past few days. I am just a little bit out of it today. Just a little bit. I'll make it though. Here to entertain the masses. That's what we're doing. Oh, there we go. Yeah, thankfully I had some people able to take a couple of my meetings there at the end of the day. I sincerely appreciate that. Got a good team. Got a good team. Good team. Good folks. And we're going to pin this to the top. Bam. All right. Things are set up. I really wish Rumble Studio would let us do that before. I wish that it was set up like to where you could at least have the like your Rumble, your video, your placeholder video, or the placeholder screen, even if it's not the video, on the other channels. I wish that was an option. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. How much vitamin C can you take without getting a bad tummy? Well, I think vitamin C is water soluble. So I don't think you can do. I might be wrong. No medical advice here in the Dozer Den, by the way. Definitely do a little research for that, Wendy. I would just take your normal dose. Read what it says on the label if it's just vitamin C. I mean, you can get vitamin C from natural sources as well. I think strawberries. Well, strawberries are potassium. And then of course, oranges, apples have some. Um, but yeah, I probably need to take. I did not take my vitamins this morning. It's my own damn fault. It's my own damn fault. Yep, that's the problem. Take tens of thousands. Ah, okay. Via IV, you can take tens of thousands of milligrams. So it is probably pretty water soluble then, not one of the ones that. Now there is also this issue with vitamin C though that there's the one that we get like that's in the quote unquote supplements is actually not technically like legit vitamin C. It acts the same, but it's like a something acid or something like that. I forgot what it was. Yeah. Man. Oh man. Yeah, get you some citrus. Nah, Wendy. I've heard alcohol has disinfecting properties, and if you happen to have viruses, maybe. It makes sense to me. Makes sense to me. I thought about having a little my bottle of Woodford Reserve over here to the side to get a little sip every now and then. But then I remembered that I took some allergy and sinus medication that has acetaminophen in it, and I don't want to destroy my liver. So even if it was just a couple sips here and there, I'd rather not risk it. At least not just ascorbic acid. Yes, thank you. Getting dosed, getting her done, and elsewise or otherwise, getting dosered. Ascorbic acid. That is exactly what I was thinking. It's folic acid. Shit. There's an ascorbic acid one though, isn't there? I don't know. I don't know. Interesting. Interesting. Make those hats and sell them. Might have to. I might have to. We Lady Dozer. Yeah. Drink bleach for sure. Joke. YouTube. Twat waffles. Definitely a joke there. Definitely a joke. See, what you want to do is you want to get the biggest bottle of bleach. You want to get a large cup and just chug that. Chug it in and it'll get rid of all your ailments. No Trump. Bad little Trump. No, sir. Oh, man, we got to fix his flag. Come on. What am I doing here, guys? What am I doing? Got to let Trump hug the flag. Got to show his love for the flag, guys. There we go. That's a little bit better. There we go. That better? There we go. Look at that. It's gorgeous. From the iconic picture of him loving on the American flag. Awesome bobblehead. He's my desk buddy. Sometimes I just reach over and pat him on the head. Positive affirmation. From the father figure that we all wanted according to the left. Weirdos. Oh yeah, we can start a line. We can start a line of a hat competition, tinfoil hat competition. I like this idea. Oh man. Oh man, guys. But yeah, our last topic, like I said, is going to be actually I didn't say it yet. We're going to talk about the drones. We're going to talk about the Jersey drones, UFOs. Some of them are literally just freaking planes. Literally planes. And the people that are acting freaked out about planes and helicopters, you're either controlled opposition or you're freaking stupid. If it has navigational lights on it, guys, guess what? It's probably a plane or a helicopter or an actual legit drone. If it has the flashing red and green. Now, there are some clearly that are unknown. Like the one that looks like the has the wheel turning in it with the bunch of different. It looks like one of those the wheels mentioned like in the Bible. Really interesting one that I saw. There are some also that look somewhat membranous. I think that's a word. If not, hey, I just made a word up. Oh my gosh, we had 2 people watching over there on YouTube for a second. Good Lord. Thank you so much to the couple people that were watching over there on YouTube. If my if my stream stays up there, who knows? Who knows? I could say just something slightly off, and YouTube will X the stream. Again, don't really care too much, to be honest with you. Hope you guys liked my. If you got a chance to look at my thumbnail, that was a dang good one from Grok. Grok, thank you for my thumbnails. It does amazing. Fauci with the scythe, which, as discussed in the Common Sensor chat earlier, Fauci stands or is translated to sickle. Sickle. Very interesting, right? It's fitting. It's fitting. The tinfoil hat's definitely on for the interview with David Martin and Jimmy Dore. That interview, I was going to play it months ago when it came out. I was thinking about it, but I kind of, had other things that I wanted to talk about. But with the things coming back around, I feel like it's very important. A lot of very information heavy. So when we get there, it's going to be interesting. Audience members can send pics of themselves wearing our unique Dozer and Sterling tinfoil hat designs. I like it. I like it. This is a plan. It's a plan. Might have to make something like that happen. Talk to the lady Dozer. See if she gets a little bit, has some design ideas. Wendy, yeah, some of them apparently are the ones that are the size of cars or dune buggies. Those are interesting. And apparently, you had a lawmaker, Jeff Van Drew. I think he's an independent or Republican, or at least he used to be independent, something like that. Said that they were possibly Iranian and from a mothership, and I just think that's kind of bullshit. That's kind of like everyone trying to blame the assassination attempts on Iran. The assassination, they were. We either had a case of lie hop, let it happen on purpose, or made it happen on purpose. With the second one, that's made it happen on purpose. That guy, holy crap, he had like all kinds of devices. He had federal charges, like felony charges for a freaking weapon of mass destruction. It was like an automatic weapon. And you don't have those type of charges and then like 5 years later get to go travel internationally. You just don't. That dude's an asset. Rolf, no, that guy's clearly an asset. The other guy we don't know much about, and I think that's on purpose. Maybe with old Cash getting in, we'll know a little bit more about the assassination attempts. Who knows? Who knows? Sam Duty, adding some likes on other profiles with the other profiles. Thank you so much, Sam Duty. I appreciate the heck out of you, bud. I appreciate the heck out of you. Tinfoil witch hats, tinfoil sombreros, and tinfoil fedoras. Yep. This is the Hershey's Kiss version right now. Or if we had it long enough, we can make it a narwhal. Narwhal tinfoil hat. Narwhals swimming in the ocean, causing a commotion, because they are so awesome. I hope that earworm is in your head for the rest of the night, guys. That's a good one. That's a throwback. YouTube is Asso. Yes, the guy. Gene Bandano over there as the guy over there on YouTube. Appreciate the heck out of you for spreading the love on the different platforms. It's good times. Is very nice. Narwhal. Yes. That's a possibility. It's I heard that she says that sounds like the government has decided to finally open the mountaintop in the desert at Area 51 and show us what they have been building all these years. It's a possibility. I heard somebody postulate that this could be a bit of a flex on the incoming administration to be like, hey, just so you know, you can come in and talk about doing all these things, but we have this here available to do whatever the hell we want, and you can't do anything about it. Because apparently someone was saying these are operating on frequencies that they can't detect. I saw that Ashton Forbes actually posted something about that, somebody had reported that they were operating on frequencies undetectable. That kind of concerning. Just a little bit. Getting her done. Having a motorcycle helmet shaped like solid. I like that. I like that. Getting dozered. Getting dozered when you're watching this show. The Dozer Den. The Dozer Den. Oh man, guys. It's a good time. It's a good time. We are 30 minutes in. So, guys, I said it. We're not going 3 hours. I am not feeling good enough for that. But I also am a dirty rotten liar. And with us leaning a little bit on some videos today, and that, like I said, 80-minute interview. We're gonna stop and react periodically throughout it. We are, but it is so freaking informative. And I didn't even know. Sterling played earlier. You guys were probably watching. Played that clip of or at least a clip of the. I think it was a 30-minute interview with Jones on Infowars. Dr. David Martin is he knows a lot of things. He knows a lot of things. But yeah, I do believe we're going to go ahead and roll into our first topic here. The Fedsurrection, guys. It has been confirmed. But, you want to know something interesting? Places like Politico, guys. Places like Politico and CNN. You know what their freaking headline is? Their headline is something as insane as IG report rebuts all conspiracy claims about January 6th, certification day 2021. IG report indicates that there were no federal agents, no FBI agents, no Fed boys in the crowd. And then you got to actually read the report. And I haven't read the whole thing. It's 88 pages. I scanned through the first, 5-10 pages. It absolutely says that there were no less than 26. And like I said earlier, guys, it's like cockroaches. If you see one, there's 100 in the walls. If they're admitting to 26, I'm going to go ahead and assume there were probably a couple hundred. I think that's a safe guess. And with footage like this, let me pull it up here real quick for you. Might have to actually do something different with my hat here to get the headphones on. Who knows? Oh no. Dedicated to the hat though. You guys let me know if the audio is crud. Bring up this one real quick. With, video like this from the 6th, and I really struggled to find this one, but it popped up today, and I've tried to find it before, and because I know I had seen it. I saw it shortly after the 6th. Let me see if I can get this thing on without compromising the integrity of the super sophisticated AI protection device. Let me get this down here. Let's go here. Oh, there we go. There we go. It happened. It happened. Let's check it out. What's up, Harry Toe? Good to see you. When you see stuff like this, completely normal. Caught him. Those are fake MAGA supporters showing their true colors, looking like some black bloc individuals, right? Right, guys? Nah. This right here, guys. This headline from CNN. Oh, damn, Harry Toe with a $10 Rumble rant. Turn in the chat gold. Hell yeah, thank you so much for that. $10 Rumble rant from Harry Toe. Let's bring it up. Said, great hat, don't ruin it and let the aliens mind control you. Well, with all the drone activity and UFOs and possible aliens, it's only common sense that you would take precautions to protect your brainwaves from our alien overlords. Thank you for the reminder. Thank you so much for the donation. $10. Golden Tret from Harry Toe 2. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. Yeah, that video was I remember seeing it shortly after certification day 2021, and it kind of disappeared for a while. I seen it kind of make the rounds every now and then, but it's great that someone decided to pull it up today. But this headline here, this headline here from CNN, they absolutely CNN. No undercover FBI agents were at the U.S. Capitol during the insurrection. Insurrection. The riot on one side. A Justice Department watchdog has found, rejecting claims by allies of President elect Donald Trump that the violence on January 6th, 2021 was provoked by federal agents. Politico had one very similar. Politico had one very similar. And this right here from the Hodge twins. Let's take a look. So this was in the responses to that. Right there, guys. Freaking. We determined that of the 26 CHS's confidential human sources who were in DC on January 6th in connection with the events of January 6th, 4 entered the Capitol during the riot. An additional 13 entered the restricted area around the Capitol, which was a security perimeter established in preparation for the January 6th electoral certification, and 9 neither entered. I think they meant to put either. Entered a restricted area. No, it says neither. Neither entered a restricted area nor entered the Capitol or otherwise engaged in illegal activity. None of the CHSs who entered the Capitol or restricted area has been prosecuted to date. Yeah. Like I said, CNN's characterization there is a little bit disingenuous, guys. A little bit of a lie, right? It's Yeah, Sterling, that vid did disappear for a while. But this right here, no undercover agents. So I guess, they're going to go ahead and say that they were confidential human sources. They weren't trained FBI agents. That's the way they're going to get around that and be like, oh no, we're correct in our reporting. But the fact that it, they continuously try to piss on our fucking heads. Thankfully, I have protection from that. They try to piss on our heads, guys, and tell us that it's rain. This is not a nice warm shower. This is urine. Maybe coming from what's that one guy's name that said he was crying piss? Crazy man on Twitter or X. I forgot his name. You know what? I'm okay with that. But no, this is not rain. This is not a nice warm shower. This is bullshit coming from the media. Okay? Absolute utter bullshit. And in my opinion, they do stuff like this and they say it over and over again and they repeat because if they keep saying it, it ends up becoming like a mantra. Without evidence. Without evidence, claim that. Without evidence, claim that. There were no undercover agents here. No undercover agents here, as verified by the IG. No undercover agents. They are absolutely fucking communists. Absolute commies. This is commie gobbledygook. They hypnotize the masses because they're too lazy to get off their asses and actually do a little bit of research. Most of them. Just go ahead and be complacent. Take it in. Take in the garbage from CNN and Politico. Politico was the other one, did almost the exact same headline. Exact same fucking headline. No agents. But they admit in the Inspector General report that there were at least 26 CHSs. And some of the defendants in the Certification Day 2021 trials have outlined at least 30 or no, at least 60 agents with possible, like I said, hundreds more that we don't know about. It's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Yeah. Yep. Maybe a little bit less energy than my rants typically have there. Like I said, though, a little under the weather. I was a little bit more succinct with that one, I think. But the Mockingbird media, guys, they are controlled. They are controlled by the intel agencies. You can't distinguish them. Oh, they were absolutely Absolutely, Sterling. There were actual agents there too, particularly picked up on the scaffolding commander. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, like what was it? There was some guy up on the scaffolding. What is it? Catboy, Fed fuck Fuentes. Telling people literally with a bullhorn to get violent and push past and ignore the cops and take it over and actually inciting violence. And my God, Fed fuck Fuentes sure as shit hasn't been investigated by the government recently, has he? Hmm. Hmm. Just a little bit Ray Epps style. A little Ray Epsy. A little bit Ray Epsy. I have no fucking tolerance for that piece of shit. He's a fucking blight on any movement on the conservative side. Anybody that fucking likes Nick Fuentes, fucking fine. I don't really give a shit. I think the dude's a fucking fag, and he just doesn't want to admit it. That's what I think. I think the dude probably is gay as hell. I think he is probably gay as hell, and he just doesn't want to admit it because he has to put on a facade because he's controlled opposition. He is a fucking Fed, in my opinion. You can't tell me that he said the things that he said on Certification Day 2021, just like Ray Epps, and he hasn't seen one little bit of criticism from the government, one little bit of investigation from the government. He hasn't faced years in prison like some of the people that just walked through the fucking halls. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you that fucking blind, you groiper faggots, that's what you're fucking convinced of, that he's your goddamn savior? He's not. He's fucking, isn't he Hispanic? Like, good God, Fuentes can suck all the dicks he wants. I don't care. Just admit it, dude. Just embrace your gayness. You'll probably have a lot happier life. And he's dude's a fucking Fed. That's just my opinion. Based on the evidence that I've seen, he isn't gay. I'm thinking he's probably gay. That's the vibe. That's the vibe I get. When you criticize a family man for spending time with his family and mock people who spend time with their family and have a wife, you might be a little bit gay. I'm just saying. If you like him, that's fine. I just think he's a faggot. And not because he's gay. Faggot as in the 90s version. But I also do think that he is gay. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. To each their own, though. To each their own. If you like him, that's cool. I don't. I just don't like the guy. And I think he's bad. I think he's bad for any of the. He's a bad freaking voice for the movement. He does have, in the few times that I've seen him speak and actually go like in debates and stuff like that, he's been like respectful with sticks. I saw him on Elijah Schaefer's show. Excuse me, it wasn't slightly offensive at the time. It was "You Are Here," and he has a few good points when he's not being a trollish ass. When he's not being a trollish ass, sometimes he can have some good points. But other than that, it's always about the Jews. And don't get me wrong, I have my problems with Israel, but for not every problem in the world is it always the Jews. It's not always the Jews. There's a lot of Jews that are in high places of power that do fucked up shit. Don't get me wrong, but it's not always the Jew. Yeah, yeah. Oh, Sterling, that's juicy as fuck. You're teasing me. You're teasing me. Ooh, Sterling, what you got? Ooh, keep your eyes on Sterling, guys. Eyes on Sterling. Be careful, by the way. Be careful with that. I don't know if I don't know. I don't know if he's Sterling or Sterling. Good lord, I'm out of it. I'm out of it. I think I needed a rant meter for that, didn't I, guys? That was more of a rant than my topic than my rant meter for CNN, wasn't it? Good to see you, Chris DL. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. Yeah. Windy shit. No, it does make you gay. It makes you very gay. Especially if you stay up and come to completion. That is very fucking gay. And I don't care. I don't care if you're gay. Everybody loves funny somebody. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. That made me laugh. You only gave the balls touch. No! No! What are y'all doing? Oh my gosh. No, I needed those laughs. That was good. That was good. Oh, back to the January 6th stuff. Certification Day 2021 stuff, actually. Sorry. Actually, wait a second. Wait a second. Maybe. I don't know. We'll get to it later, maybe. We'll do some Rumble ad reads in a little bit. I got to make them flow right. I got to make them flow right, guys. I'm going to have to take a look and see which ones are available, see if I can squeeze them in there. Squeeze them in there. Speaking of squeezing. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they had the flag on the ground. Those are not true MAGA folks. Those were posers. Posers, guys. Given a bad name. They're probably some of those idiots that were banging on the damn windows. Yeah, there were absolutely Fed boys and Antifa soy fags in the damn crowd that were causing crap. That is true. Oh. Yeah, there we go. What was I going to pull up next? We are going to... Actually, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second. Let's go ahead and get into the meat of this thing. The Inspector General report. I got it pulled up here. We're going to go through it until my voice decides to die. Ugh. Stop working. Die. Whatever. Just be freaking normal. Yes. You can be gay. Just be normal gay. Just be normal gay. Nobody's gonna bother you if you don't bother them. Just leave the kids out of it. I think that's a pretty easy ask. That's a pretty easy ask, right? Mm. You know, I just remembered that I didn't put that octopus on the bed. I do believe Lady Dozer did that, or one of my kids. Someone, people were joking with me in one of the chats talking about my the background, this being my daughter's room, and yes, there is a makeup thing, and yes, I have stuffed animals on the bed, but I also have I'm outnumbered. I'm vastly outnumbered. But that stuff in the back there, though, that is. Look at that. We got a Full Metal Alchemist right there. You got Ed and Al right there. You got a little Pokemon stuff there. Goku, cute little dragon. My Hero Academia, and of course, Ichigo, holification mask from Bleach. And the deer head is going to go right there. I think so. I guess where my buck skull's going. Yeah, those are some really good paintings. That's from oh dang it, I had his dang card on me for a while. Sam Pottig, Pottig, Pottig's paintings or something like that. He does canvas paintings. He's at one of the anime cons yearly around the area, and I've gotten a piece from him the last 4 years, and I plan on continuing to do so. If he keeps showing up, I'll keep getting a piece from him. So Bill does have a great rack that's currently getting, I think, cured right now. It's a very nice rack. Very nice rack. Oh, what you got? What you got? Got a link there. What you throwing out to me there? Sterling said, here's one about the scaffolding commander. Ooh. Okay. We'll bring it up. I heard my Discord make a noise. I don't know if you guys heard that. It's doing things. It's live in the background. I don't think my voice chat's open on Discord, but it might be. New audio detected. I'm not supposed to be on a voice chat. I don't know what's going on. If I'm talking in Discord, my apologies. Let's just get out of that. I'm a bit of a Luddite when it comes to Discord. I don't know the ways. But I got that pulled up there. Interesting. Let's go ahead and pull that up. And then we will get into the Inspector General report and actually start doing a little bit of reading. Dom Luker, breaker of narratives. NW Scaffold Commander. We'll call him just Scaffold Commander for short. Gets his name from being the ostensible commander of the prominent media tower that overlooked the Capitol's back terrace. I'm going to sneeze. Oh, it was only 2. That was a small one. Usually 3 to 5. Of the prominent media tower that overlooked the Capitol's back terrace on January 6th. You've probably seen this tower in pictures. And we got This guy right here. Huh. Okay. Early and ongoing insider and director of mob taunts police from outside of the wall early on, climbs on the NW scaffold approximately at 1 p.m. closely, directs and incites crowd with bullhorn on top of scaffold for at least 18 minutes. Adidas backpack jacket with first serve or similar on back on several videos. Interesting. Probably a Fed. Probably a Fed boy. Look at him go. Look at him go. Does he have a mask? If he was actually trying to hide his identity, he'd actually have it on. I don't know. I don't know. That's an interesting one. Oh, we got a whole thread here of the infiltrators, instigators. Oh, Ray Epps. You gotta go into the Capitol. No, you a Fed. You a Fed. Interesting stuff there. That's a good thread right there. Appreciate you, Sterling. You know, guys, the crazy thing about the certification day 2021, people didn't get violent until they started getting fired upon. Usually, just saying. Ooh, ooh! Thank you for the bless you there, Trish. Appreciate you. Ooh, there's a close up too. Got all these tabs. Ain't got no more room. Oh yeah, wanted. Was he one of the ones that did he get put on the list, the most wanted list, like Ray Epps, and then promptly taken off of the wanted list? Is he one of those? Looks like that's the guy. Hmm. Yep. Looks like a Fed. Sounds like a Fed. If it walks like a Fed, talks like a Fed, well, it's probably gay. Just gonna let that set there. Just gonna let that set there, guys. Oh, what's up, Donna? Good to see you. Thank you for stopping in for a moment, guys. Don't forget to smash that like button. Give it a good thumping. Do what you want with that like button. It's not gonna say no. It's completely consensual. Whatever you want to do with that like button, guys. But if you guys get excited, I get it. I get it. We get excited with the like button. If you have to hit it more than once, please hit it at least thrice. Twice, and it will cancel it out. And you know what? We don't want to cancel out the like, guys. We got to let it be known our support for the Dozer Den here. Continue to build the Killdozer army. We're creeping up on 500, guys. 474 the last I checked. Creeping up there, creeping up there. Get to 500. That's going to be something special. Might have to make another placeholder video when we hit 500, y'all. I think I might end up making a placeholder video that is just a generic hello, how you doing, welcome to the show. I don't know, though. I like the themes. I kind of like the theme thing. So don't forget to smash the like button, guys. Comment in the comment section. Use that little repost feature that Rumble has now. Apparently that'll help. I don't know if it's even technically active yet, but it's there, and it lets you put a little comment in there. I don't know where to see that, but it's a start. It's a start. Oh, shoot. No, I saw your link up there. Gates about the commander. No, this is interesting. This is related to the 6 conversation, so I am all for this one, man. Bring this one up again. Oh, no. That's my one story. I don't want to paste over that. Bam. Okay. We have a clip from Gates. 2 minutes and 19 seconds. Let's just good old Gates. Do a little bit of discussion of the scaffold commander. Interesting how they can track down a granny for praying. They can use cell phone like tracking, location data based on pings and movement. They can do that for somebody who is praying in the Capitol, but for the guy who's actually inciting violence and telling people to, be violent and disobey the cops and stuff like that, can't find that guy. We're just gonna let him set, huh? From former Congressman Matt Gaetz, in an elevated position on the top of the scaffolding, we have someone that the internet has identified as Scaffold Commander. giving persistent instruction to the crowd that had gathered. Let's see
an elevated position on the top of scaffolding that had been set up for the media for observance of that day. We have someone that the internet is kind of identified as scaffold commander, giving persistent instruction to the crowd that had gathered. Play the next clip.
Don't just stand there. Move forward. Help somebody over the wall. Move forward. Come on, cowboy. Let's go, cowboy.
I do believe this day is going to go down as one of the biggest and nastiest examples of entrapment from the feds that we have seen in a long time, possibly ever.
And the next clip, I believe, is also.
Okay, we're in. Come on. We're going to fill up the Capitol. Come on. Get down. We need help. We're going to fill up the Capitol. They got in. Come on. Move forward. Move forward. Climb up over the wall. Get into those bleachers.
The blame apps.
And the next image.
Yeah.
And it's not like we don't know who this guy is. The very individual who is directing the crowd to fill the Capitol with persistence, with focus, is this person. I saw recently that the federal government is engaged in all type of contracting services with facial recognition companies, and you're telling me they can't find this guy and what Attorney General Garland and Director Wray say is the most expansive, the most comprehensive investigation in America's history? Look, there may be a perfectly good explanation.
He's sounding a very tinfoil hatty. I'm just saying.
For why these individuals, appearing to act in concert of purpose, have had very bizarre lacking in their interaction with the federal government, but we deserve those answers. And tens of millions of Americans should not be targeted and smeared and lied about until we get them.
Oh. Getting dozered. I like it. I like it. Show some love for that like button. Spank the like button. Very nice. Very nice. Oh, what is that about? The Rumble chat on my phone app looks like it's either way behind or way ahead. I don't know. I'll close out and reopen it. That's what we're going to do here. I like to keep an eye on things. I've got it pulled up on my laptop as well, but I think it's a decent idea to keep it open on the phone just to check on things. All right, there we go. It updated. Yeah. Spank the like button. Do it to it, Laz. We are at, let me see how many likes we got. Right now, we are at 18. Well done to the 18 of you who took time to close the chat and smash that like button. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much. Very interesting clip there from Gates. Very interesting clip.
In an elevated
no,
position.
I did not say press play. Stop it. Mute that. Oh, I earned a link, Sanglant. Thank you so much for joining the stream, Sanglant. Good to see you. What did I earn? Oh, what is this? Sanglant sharing things, guys. For moi? What we got? What is that? Green Jello? We might have to check that out later. Or green jelly. That's the same man that does the 1, 2, 3, 4, isn't it? Or the only count to 4? I think it is. Or no, that's Little Pig. They have the Little Pig, Let Me In song. Green Jello. No, we're gonna have to check that out later. Love button properly caressed. Oh, Wendy's talking about a love button. Oh my goodness. Now, Wendy, I know you needed a towel in chat last night, but come now. Come on. Oh, goodness gracious. We have a good time here. We have a good time here. Let's go back to the, if I don't cough, let's go back to the text of this IG report, guys. We are going to get into it. Smash the plus more if you could. Well, if only, if only. Let's bring it up. Bring up this here. It's a PDF file. Not talking about a lot of the FBI. Stunning amount of Chomo research material in the computers of the FBI, guys. Just saying. Just saying. Wendy, you're good, Wendy. I was cracking up. You were having a good time last night. Yeah. Sensually stroke the plussy. Plussy. Got to get it right, guys. Get it right. All right. Introduction and overview from the IG. In the aftermath of the riot and breach of the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021, among the questions that were raised was how the breach had occurred and what was known by federal enforcement in advance of January 6 about the possibility of a violent protest that day. On January 15, 2021, the Department of Justice, DOJ, Office of the Inspector General, OIG, announced its review to examine the role and activity of DOJ and its components in preparing for and responding to the events at the U.S. Capitol on Certification Day 2021. Separately, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FedBoys, FBI, and the department prosecutors immediately began criminally investigating individuals who had violated federal law in connection with the riot at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. The department, through the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia, has reported that it has brought charges against over 1,500 individuals and described January 6 investigations and prosecutions as having moved forward at an unprecedented speed and scale. Maybe that's a problem. Maybe for people that were unlawfully parading or trespassing, maybe you shouldn't be having so much resources and time dedicated to that. Maybe you should focus on the freaking kids that are missing. 330,000 children are just freaking missing, guys. Don't question that. They're just missing. That's all it is. Yeah, sure. They literally took people off of cases like that to investigate the 6th. Certification Day 2021. I don't think I took any screenshots, Wendy. I thought about it. No. Oh, she was just having fun. Wendy's fun in the chat. In the public announcement of our review of the events at the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021, we took note of these ongoing criminal prosecutions, stating that the OIG was mindful of the sensitive nature of ongoing criminal investigations and prosecutions related to the events of January 6th. Consistent with a longstanding OIG practice, in conducting this review, the DOJ OIG will take care to ensure that the review does not interfere with these investigations or prosecutions. As is customary for the OIG, we coordinated closely with the department and the DC USAO to ensure that the OIG's investigative work did not conflict with or compromise any ongoing criminal investigation or prosecution. To that end, and consistent with the OIG practice in spring 2022, the OIG paused aspects of our review. Once the OIG determined last year, after consultation with federal prosecutors, that our review would no longer potentially interfere with the pending prosecutions, we resumed our review. In doing so, we were cognizant of the amount of time that had passed in deference to the ongoing criminal investigations and prosecutions, as well as the number of other non-DOJ OIG oversight reports that have since been publicly released regarding the events on Certification Day 2021, and we therefore decided to largely focus our inquiry on an issue that has not yet been thoroughly reviewed and oversight conducted by other entities, namely the FBI's direction and handling of its confidential human sources, CHS, in the lead up to and on January 6th, and whether the FBI exploited its CHSs and other available information to determine the nature of threats in advance of the electoral vote certification on January 6th. In addition to the DOJ OIG's oversight efforts reflected in this report, several other inspectors general have conducted reviews of their agency's actions in connection with the events of January 6th. The U.S. Capitol Police OIG immediately began a review to determine if the U.S. CP, which is responsible for policing the Capitol complex, established adequate measures for ensuring the safety and security of the Capitol complex, as well as members of Congress. 2. Established adequate internal controls and processes for ensuring compliance with the department policies. And 3. Complied with applicable policies and procedures, as well as applicable laws and regulations. This is lengthy. Oh, Lord. The Department of Defense, OIG, initiated a review of the relevant events leading up to January 6th, including the DoD's review and approval of the D.C. government's request for assistance from the D.C. National Guard. The DoD's coordination with the D.C. and federal officials in preparation for January 6th, DoD's receipt and approval of the U.S. CP's request for assistance on January 6th, and the planning involved in for National Guard forces to help secure the Capitol in the immediate aftermath of the riot. Maybe if they would have been proactive instead of reactive and not actually stirred up the crowd and got them to do these crazy things, maybe you wouldn't have had these issues. Just saying. DHS began a review to examine the role and activity of the DHS and its components in preparing and responding to the events of the 6th, including Office of Intelligence and Analysis responsibility for providing intelligence to law enforcement and DHS law enforcement components, roles, responsibilities, and actions on January 6th. The U.S. Secret Service, which was responsible for protecting the then Vice President Mike Pence on January 6th during his time at the U.S. Capitol, is a law enforcement component within DHS. In addition, DHS is responsible for designating an event as a National Special Security Event, NSSE, or as a Special Event Assessment Rating, SEER, event, which it did not do for the electoral vote certification on January 6th. Interesting. The FBI defines a special event as a significant international event or domestic event formally designed as designated as an NSSE event or a SEAR event, which requires the FBI to plan, coordinate, develop, or provide FBI resources to mitigate potential threats the special event may cause to national security or threats of significant criminal activity that the FBI is responsible for identifying, preventing, investigating, or disrupting. Interesting. Salt Dumpster. What's up, man? Good to see you. Another one of our lovely subscribers. $5 a month, guys. You can subscribe to the Dozer Den. Become one of the special elite killdozers. Help the Dozer Den grow. Share this broadcast out to the masses, guys. Spread the word of the Dozer Den, for it is warm underneath the Schaus-style roof of the Dozer Den. Good times here. Good times. Let's see. They talked about the National Park Service. I'm interesting how they haven't mentioned the request for the authorization of 10,000 troops or so. That was legit. That actually happened. That was turned down by Muriel Bowser. Didn't want the stormtroopers in, did they? Okay, whatever. Further oversight effort was undertaken by the Government Accountability Office. GAO. There you go. With the emotes. Bam. Extra shiny. Let's see. Contact a comprehensive overview of events leading up to, during, and following the January 6th attack. The U.S. Senate and the U.S. House of Representatives also conducted oversight regarding events of January 6th. Investigated themselves and found they did nothing wrong in reference to Michael Byrd, who shot an innocent woman in the neck. Ashley Babbitt, rest in peace. You did nothing wrong. She was actually getting after people. If you watch the videos from that day, she was actually thumping guys that were getting out of line. Like, there were dudes that were getting way out of line, and she thumped them. Like, calm the hell down. I don't think when she was jumping up in that window, I don't think she was aiming to go through there and cause issues. I think she was probably going to turn around and address the crowd and be like, back the hell up. That's what I think was probably going to happen. But I'm not in the woman's head. Michael Byrd is on record admitting that he didn't think she had a weapon. So why'd you shoot her? You murdered that woman, Michael Byrd, and you deserve to rot in hell for it. If you don't get a punishment in this life, I hope you get one in the next. Absolutely. Disgusting. He's a fucking hero, though. Pfft. Garbage individual. I wish all the bad things upon him. I hope he slips on every banana peel that is ever present. Everyone. Mario Kart style, guys. You know, I've never actually played Mario Kart. I made a Mario Kart reference, though, because it's the common vernacular. Yeah, Bird needs some clink time. I hope his punishment is coming, man. Chris, I really do. I really would love to see it happen. I don't know if it's going to, though. I don't know if they're going to actually go after this guy, but he deserves it. He deserves to be gone after. Not gone after, guys. Actually held to account. There's a difference between going after people you don't like and actually holding people to account. This preempted pardon talk for Clinton and Pelosi and others is just insane that we're even in a place like this, guys. It's absolutely insane. But that's, alas, we are where we are, and it is what it is. Man. Yeah. I was just thinking that, Wendy. Great point. Dude is on record being irresponsible with his weapons and leaving them in the freaking leaving them in the bathroom. Like I get it. You got to take your dang, sidearm off depending on how you got your gear set up. You got to, if you got to pop a squat in the bathroom, I get it. You put the damn thing back on. That's your freaking weapon, man. That's your buddy. No one gets left behind. You don't leave your freaking weapon behind. It's not like it's a cell phone. Oh, yep, saying that. It's a good point. That was the problem. She was interfering with a Fed committing a felony. Yeah. Yes, she was. Can't have that. Can't have that. Let's see. So the House was looking at the intelligence and security failures that led to January 6th. They facilitated it, so it wasn't really a failure. I guess you could say intentional failure. Subsequently, numerous congressional committee hearings addressed how various federal agencies prepared in advance of the January 6th electoral certification and how they responded on January 6th, with the first one being held by the House of Representatives Appropriations Committee on January 26, 2021. In early March 2021, HSGAC-RAC jointly held an oversight hearing that included testimony from the FBI, a hearing examining the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol Part 2, as well as from non-FBI witnesses. On June 30th, 2021, the House of Representatives established a 13-member select committee, unselect committee. The unselect committee, they destroyed records. They need to be held accountable. Prosecute them all. I wouldn't say that. There are other people that have said they should be prosecuted. Liz Cheney, Adam Crybaby Kinzinger, Adam Pencil-Neck Watermelon Schiff. I don't even know if he was involved. I think he was. Regardless. Completely bipartisan with Cheney and Kinzinger, guys. Yeah, for sure. You have a Glock. Okay, well, I mean, if you have your weapons stationed throughout the house, for just in case, I understand salt dumpster. I do. Let's see. To investigate the January 6th attack, the House Select Committee had 10 televised show hearings, beginning June 9th and concluded on December 19th, 2022. Summary of the findings, guys. So that was our introduction. We're going to get into the summary of the findings and then probably go ahead and scoot to the next topic. There have been some breakdowns. There's been some discussion. Technically, it's a Glock 17S shower. That's what the S is for, shower version. Superb. Absolutely superb. You know what else is superb, guys? The Kid's Guide. First sponsor of the evening. If you want to get the truth out there, guys, about good old President Trump, check out the Kid's Guide. I have to take a minute to stop and address parents with something very important. Listen up, parents. As President Trump prepares for his second term, he said he wants to teach our kids to love our country, reversing radical anti-American rhetoric that our kids are hearing from in classrooms across the country. The best place for kids to start is to learn all about President Trump and his vision to make America great again, MAGA, during his second term. That's why Mike Huckabee's team put together the Kids Guide to President Trump Victory Edition. And to celebrate President Trump's return to the White House, they're giving it away for free. This book is great because it features fun illustrations and content, teaches kids all about President Trump's accomplishments and his goals for his second term. Mike Huckabee wants to send your family this free guide so you can teach your kids the truth about President Trump and his mission to make America great again. But you're going to have to hurry, guys, because guess what? Supplies are limited. This is a hot commodity. You can claim your free Kids Guide to President Trump Victory Edition for your kids right now. See all for details and order your free guide at kidstrumpguide.com. Guys, that is kidstrumpguide.com. Check them out. No propaganda here. Just the truth. Hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. All right. Summary of the findings. The FBI did not have primary responsibility for intelligence collection or event security on January 6th. Rather, the USCP Metropolitan Police Department and the USPP were generally responsible for security operations, crowd control, and visitor protection in advance of protests and other demonstrations in and around the Capitol. Our review found that despite playing only a supporting role, the FBI recognized the potential for violence and took significant and appropriate steps to prepare for this supporting role, including attempting to identify known domestic terrorism subjects who planned to travel to D.C. for the January 6th electoral certification, standing up a national command post as well as a full FBI Washington Field Office, WFO, command post to coordinate the sharing of intelligence between law enforcement agencies on January 6th and preparing additional tactical assets to be ready to be deployed at the request of the local authorities. Indeed, after the Capitol was breached by rioters on January 6th, the FBI was in position to deploy tactical assets to help clear the Capitol of protesters and to help USCP secure the perimeter around the Capitol complex. Let's look at that sentence again. Indeed, after the Capitol was breached by rioters on January 6th, the FBI was in a position to deploy tactical assets to help clear the Capitol of protesters. Let's get a little bit more specific about that, huh? You want to talk about the ones that were dressed up as Trump supporters? The ones that were dressed up in MAGA gear in the Capitol already before anybody got in? We gonna talk about that shit, you fucking retards? Goodness gracious, guys. Goodness gracious. It's nonsense. It's a bunch of nonsense, y'all. Can't stand it. Can't stand it. Let's see here. While the FBI undertook significant efforts to identify domestic terrorism subjects who plan to travel to the Capitol region on January 6th to prepare and to support its law enforcement partners on January 6th if needed, we also determined that the FBI did not take a step that could have helped the FBI and its law enforcement partners with their preparations in advance of January 6th. Specifically, the FBI did not canvass its field offices in advance of January 6, 2021 to identify any intelligence, including CHS reporting about potential threats to the January 6th electoral certification. Several FBI officials told the OIG that it is common practice for the FBI to ask field offices to canvass their sources for information in advance of a large event such as the inauguration, the Super Bowl, or other events with significant attendance, and to report that information to the requesting field office, which in this instance would have been the WFO. FBI Deputy Director Paul Abate, who was Associate Deputy Director at the time, described the lack of a canvass prior to January 6th as a basic step that was missed. Just missed, guys. Missed. Bunch of garbage. Absolute garbage. Okay. And told the OIG he would have expected a formal canvassing of sources to be occurred through the issuance of an intelligence collection product because it would have been the most thorough approach to understanding the threat picture prior to January 6th. I just want to ask, who the hell are these guys? Domestic terrorism subjects who plan to travel to the capital. What does that mean? Who are we talking about? Are there names? Are you just talking about freaking Enrique Tarrio, renowned white supremacist, Afro-Cuban guy, leader of the Proud Boys, apparently? He was apparently a white supremacist, but he's Afro-Cuban. Is that the one you're talking about? You talk about Stuart Rhodes? What is a domestic violent extremist? It's a good question, guys. It's a good question. Oh yeah, Salt Dumpster, I am fucking so ready. I am so ready for Cash Patel to come in here and just wreck the House of Cards. Blow it down with a mighty breeze of truth and justice, the American way. Let's hope so, Trish. I hope Trump is working on it. He's got to show us this time. He's got to show us. I think he drained the swamp enough to show the creatures for what they were, and now it's clean house time. That's kind of what I think. We'll see. We'll see. Let's see. We determined that despite some discussions about issuing formal intelligence collection product specific to both the January 6th electoral certification and the January 20th inauguration, the FBI only issued an intelligence collection product for the inauguration. It's like they just turned a blind eye to the 6th, huh? We found no evidence in the materials we reviewed that or testimony we received showing or suggesting that the FBI had undercover employees in the various protest crowds or at the Capitol on January 6th. Really? We reviewed the documented CHS reporting that the FBI had prior to the riot and breach of the Capitol on January 6, 2021. We determined that 3 CHS had been tasked by the FBI field offices in the days leading up to this. You're double speaking. This is double speak, guys. What we just saw right there is fucking double speak. We found no evidence in the materials that we reviewed, our testimony that we received, showing or suggesting that the FBI had undercover employees in the various protest crowds or at the Capitol on January 6th. But in a sentence later, we determined that 3 CHS had been tasked by FBI field offices in the days leading up to the 6th with the required approval from the WFO to travel to D.C. for the events. They were paid to travel and be there. They are employed by the fucking feds. You can't say this and then say that and expect me to take you fucking seriously, you goddamn fucking retards. I hate these people so damn much. I hate these people so damn much. And there's people that will read that and not be able to tell that that's literally contradicting itself. There are people that will just accept it and not understand that it's complete double speak. Like I said, guys, these are fucking commies. Let's see here. Let's see. January 6th to report on domestic terrorism subjects who were possibly attending the event. Specifically, one FBI field office tasked a CHS, not an employee though, guys, but the field office tasked a CHS to travel to D.C. to report on the activities of a predicated domestic terrorism subject who had been separately planning to travel to D.C. for the January 6th electoral certification. A second FBI field office tasked a CHS to travel to D.C. to potentially report on 2 domestic terrorism subjects, DT. From another FBI field office who were planning to travel to D.C. for the events of January 6th, and a third CHS who had informed their handling agent that they intended to travel to D.C. on their own initiative for the events of January 6th. Was similarly tasked by their field office to potentially report on 2 DT subjects. DT, like Donald Trump, is that a weird little way of you guys giving a knock to Donald Trump? I think it probably is. Where's the DVE, domestic violent extremist? You're going to call it DT? Okay. From other FBI field offices who were planning to travel to D.C. for the events of January 6th. Our review concluded that none of these 3 FBI CHSs were authorized to enter the Capitol or a restricted area or to otherwise break the law on January 6th, nor was any CHS directed by the FBI to encourage others to commit illegal acts on January 6th. I call fucking bullshit on that one. I can fucking guarantee you in some of the conversations, there were some conversations that were in text or email that led to, hey, give me a call real quick. And then they said that shit over the phone. If you can get the phone records, I bet you they were told, hey, if you just happen to get people a little bit excited about things, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, I guarantee you
Guarantee you guys. In addition to those 3 CHSs, we found that 23 other FBI CHSs were in DC on January 6th in connection with the events planned on for January 6th. None of these FBI CHSs were authorized to enter the Capitol or restricted area or to otherwise break the law on January 6th, nor was any CHS directed by the FBI to encourage others to commit illegal acts. They're just going to say it. They're just going to say it over and over again because that makes it true, right, guys? That makes it true, right? Okay. This is absolute fucking garbage. This, like I said, guys, they're like cockroaches. Fed boys are like fucking cockroaches. If you see one, there's 100 more that you don't fucking see. If they're admitting to 26, guarantee you there were probably at least a couple hundred. That's just my gut instinct, my tinfoil fucking hat talking. Don't trust the government, guys. They wouldn't hurt us. They wouldn't want innocent people to suffer. No, they don't support pedophilia or anything like that. Decide to stop the investigations into sex crimes and go after people like the little granny who was praying in the Capitol. No. I think we read this one earlier, but let's go ahead and read it again just to get the point across. We determined that of the 26, read it again, 26 CHSs who were in DC on January 6th in connection with the events of January 6th, 4 entered the Capitol during the riot. An additional 13 entered the restricted area around the Capitol, which was a security perimeter established in preparation for the January 6th electoral certification, and 9 neither entered a restricted area nor entered the Capitol or otherwise engaged in illegal activity. None of the CHSs who entered the Capitol or a restricted area has been prosecuted to date. Mighty convenient. The WFO did not know that a total of 26 CHSs would be in DC for the events of January 6th because only 4 field offices had informed the WFO or FBI headquarters that CHSs under the relevant field office's jurisdiction, 5 CHSs in total, would be traveling to DC on the 6th. So they're saying even they only knew of 5, and there ended up being 26. So that's over 5 times what they were aware of themselves, apparently. And I'm just saying, let's apply the same logic to the 26th. Could have been 100. Could have been more. Alex Jones was right. 100%. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Wendy. Appreciate you. I'm going to go start some shit, but I'll be back. Wendy, have fun. Oh, little Wendy Goblin in the chat. Nice. Have fun. Yeah, Lord Sterling, just because that doesn't make it true. Well, that does make it true when you say something a lot. You know, of course. You say it over and over again, and it definitely makes it true. You speak it into being. Let's see. The OIG determined that many of these 26 CHSs had provided information relevant to the January 6th electoral certification before the event, and that a few CHSs also provided information about the riot as it occurred. In addition, FBI field offices collected CHS reporting relevant to the January 6th electoral certification from CHSs who did not travel to DC for the event. Among the information CHSs provided to their handling agents was the following. Handling agents, but they weren't employed. They were handled by FBI agents. Much like, FBI agents handle small children. Statistically high occurrence of that with the Fed boys. It's a problem. It's a problem that only the light of God and patriots can solve. Through due process, legal means. We're not inciting violence here, guys. Oh, man. That's how Alex ended up being right, by screaming his conspiracies over and over. That's right. Exactly. He just spoke it into existence, Sterling.
Like Blue Eyes voice, all right? We're talking about the 6 here. And what we're going to do is, I'm just going to admit, I'm kind of retarded. But see, this tinfoil hat here, it does everything that I need so that I don't get corrupted by the Fed boys. Goddamn sacrificing the children to mullet. Tired of it. Oh, I wasn't ready.
Okay, the following. A CHS was in contact with leadership for the Oath Keepers. Extremist members of the Oath Keepers or other groups may become involved in unplanned violent activity on January 6th. The Oath Keepers contingent headed to DC is 200 plus strong. Oh my. Oh my. Let's see. Let's see these little footnotes here. In addition, we determined that 3 CHS had traveled to DC for reasons unrelated to the events of the 6th and that they did not attend any of the January 6th events, either enter any restricted areas or engage in any illegal activity. After reviewing a draft of this report, the DC USAO stated in its response, the DC U.S. Attorney's Office generally has not charged those individuals whose only crime on January 6, 2021 was to enter the restricted grounds surrounding... Oh, you sons of bitches. You motherfuckers. So, the confidential human sources generally has not charged those individuals whose only crime on January 6th was to enter the restricted grounds surrounding the Capitol, which has resulted in the office declining to charge hundreds of individuals, and we have treated the CHS as consistent with this approach. You dirty fucking bastards. You have absolutely charged people with trespassing, unlawful entry, unlawful parading. You're going to sit there and say that and then just to couch it with, oh, we're treating the CHSs just like we're treating everybody else. Are you serious? Good God. Absolutely fucking disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Damn it. These bastards. The scope of this review did not include prosecution decisions, including as to the FBI CHSs made by the DC USAO after the riot on January 6, 2021. At least they're calling it a riot, not an insurrection in this report. Because an insurrection is a legal accusation, an illegal activity that would be a crime. Nobody's been charged with insurrection. There was a couple, the Oath Keeper guy, I think Stuart Rhodes, was seditious conspiracy, something like that, which was a big stretch, as we all know. They overcharged the hell out of these people. Overcharged the hell out of them. Guys talking about the cloud boobs. Saw Greg posted those on X earlier. If you're right-brained, you'll see this. If you're left-brained, you'll see this. The elephant. It was just cloud boobs. The Oath Keepers are a large but loosely organized collection of individuals, some of whom are associated with militias. Which, militias aren't a bad thing. A well-regulated militia, it's in the Second Amendment, you idiots. It's not a bad thing. A militia is not bad. It is a well-regulated militia of the people. It's a good thing that they're training, that they're keeping on their toes, that they're keeping their awareness levels up, that they're talking with each other about what happens when shit hits the fan. That is a prepared militia, a prepared public that you should have. JJR, literally when my shift supervisor says break time, I hoot whoop 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 and whoop whoop. Good to see you, man. Glad you're spending your break time hanging out with us in the chat. Thanks so much for the link earlier with the MASSIE Minute. We were on the same wavelength, JJR. I saw that yesterday. I listened to it yesterday in between meetings at work, and I was like, yeah, this is going to be the MASSIE Minutes for this show. Oh, we are an hour and a half in, guys. Goodness gracious. It's a big topic here. And I think it's worth giving a little extra attention here. See, the travel plans being discussed by the Proud Boys, and these are more the CHS information. An individual purporting to be the leader of a group that had 500 people willing to storm the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. And a CHS indicated they had concerns for the safety of members of Congress on January 6th. Really? Yeah, after you get them spun up, right? This information was no more specific than and was consistent with other sources of information that the FBI and its WFO had received about the potential for violence on January 6th, including from other sources of tips the FBI received from social media. Thus, although the WFO and Domestic Terrorism Operations section of FBI headquarters did not direct field offices to canvass their CHSs in advance of January 6th, our review of documented CHS reporting in FBI field offices as January 6th did not identify any potentially critical intelligence related to a possible attack on the Capitol on January 6th that had not been provided to law enforcement stakeholders prior to January 6th. Dear God, that feels like it was a run on. That is almost a paragraph with no punctuation. I am offended. Split it up a little bit. Dear God. Additionally, our review of information in the FBI's possession of as of January 6th, in addition to the then documented CHS reporting, did not identify any potentially critical intelligence. Okay. This is just a lot of freaking nonsense. Good God. Brevity is the essence of wit, Fed boys. Good God. Say it correctly. Man. Dancing otter. Kaboom. Nonetheless, as numerous FBI officials told us, CHS information can be used to corroborate other sources of reporting to help the FBI develop a complete an understanding of the possible threat picture in advance of an event like January 6th. Electoral certification, and the FBI therefore should have canvassed its field offices for any relevant CHS information in advance of January 6th. We make one recommendation to the FBI to address the issues we identified in our review. Okay, so they're just saying, bad boys, you should have done a better job canvassing. You should have done a better. You should have been more proactive than reactive. Well, I mean, one of the big ways that they could have been more proactive is by not stirring them up, by not shooting into the crowd, right? I'm just saying. I don't know if we want to get into the methodology here. Probably going to go ahead and skip out. I think with the summary there, I think we get a decent picture. We're definitely not going to read through all 88 freaking pages. That's certainly not happening tonight. I don't have the energy nor the voice for it tonight. But that's a taste of it anyways. I'm sure that there are going to be people with far more time that get paid far more to actually look into that whole document and break it down and summarize it in full. So God bless the individuals that take time out of their lives to go through all 88 pages. We made it through 10. Which it was only like 5, but hell yeah, Trish. Please hit that thumbs up button, follow the stream, and share this link with people you know. It helps the channel grow. Thank you all, much appreciated. Absolutely. Let me see here. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all with that one. Ooh, and don't forget to join the Discord, guys. It's a pop-in place, apparently. I hear things beeping. It's there. It is there. So yeah, the 6 guys, the Fedsurrection, the tinfoil hat reigns supreme as far as I'm concerned when it comes to this. And if you guys would like to donate directly to the Dozer Den, well, there are a couple links. We got a Venmo and a Cash App. If you feel so inclined to donate to the Dozer Den. Earlier, we had a $10 Rumble rant. Very Chadley rant. Who was that from? That was from Harry Toe 2 with that $10 rant. Thank you so much for the contribution to the Dozer Den. Making it happen. All right, guys. It was a Fedsurrection. Like I said, if there were 26 that they're admitting to, there were probably 200 plus that they're not talking about. We have people on camera that are absolutely inciting violence, inciting people to do stupid shit, turning people into Q-tards. There might have been an incident where red smoke was popped, or red gaseous substance was popped. And while that could just be popping red smoke to indicate where an issue was, could also be something else. Possible nerve agent, people that lost their minds, ended up overdosing on a quote-unquote amphetamine. It's interesting. I'm not excusing people's violent actions. If you got violent and you attacked officers, unless they were, beating someone like Roseanne Boylan on the ground, shoving an old lady off the steps, that's worth a thumping. That's worth a fucking thumping. You deserve it. If you get that, I don't fucking care. If you're beating on an innocent civilian, you deserve to be stopped. Just because you have a uniform on does not give you the fucking excuse, does not give you carte blanche to do whatever the fuck you want to the American people. That is not how it goes. Your uniform is a responsibility. Your uniform does not give you the right to treat American citizens like they are fucking enemy combatants. That is not how this works. Your uniform means you have to take extra care to make sure that you do not put yourself above your fellow citizens, because you, yes, are still a fucking citizen when you have a uniform on. It does not grant you absolute authority to treat your fellow citizen like garbage. That is not how it works, and we need to get that mentality out of any of the uniformed services. Absolutely disgusting, some of the things that were being done to people on the 6th. Absolutely disgusting and inexcusable. But it happened. Oh man, what's up, Slant? Missed you in the chat earlier if you were popping up earlier. Taking off? Have a good one if you are taking off. Guys, don't forget to smash that thumbs up button on your way out if you are leaving. Man, that was a quick hour and 40 minutes. We're just having a good time, aren't we, fellas? And ladies. Can't forget about my ladies. Let me check out my peeps over on X. Make sure things are rolling smoothly on the X machine. I won't call it X videos. I will call it an X post. I'm an X poster. Ooh, 2794 over there on X. See, we're at about 50 people so far have watched the video on X. Maybe we'll actually get to have it stay up a little bit longer this time. Last video on X stayed the window stayed open a little bit longer, and we got up to about 600 views or so. So how about that? How about that? Even with the winter slump that some may experience, we're still chugging along here in the Dozer Den. All right. Next topic, guys. Next topic. Speaking of the deep state, speaking of Intel apparatus, Intel apparatus assholes screwing with the American people. Our next topic is just going to be Thomas Massey on the great show Redacted. Worth a follow. They've currently got 563,000 followers on Rumble. Pretty big following on YouTube and X as well. They have some really good information. Some of the best news reporting that I've seen. They get a little bit, passionate at times, but hell, so do I. Clayton is very dedicated to the UFO topic, which I appreciate. And he's dedicated to just rooting out the disparities in the approach of the system. That is one of the things that I love about the approach from Redacted. They call it as they see it, and they are for equal application of the law, which is cool to see. I roll straight freaks. Man. The Trish, get some rest. Jeez. You've been up over 24 hours in the last stream and passed out on you guys. Well, thanks for pushing past it. Can I get a sip of that, Bill? This is only Pepsi Zero. And yes, I know Pepsi. They've got the apparently baby stuff. I don't know. I try not to think about it when I'm drinking it. Just saying. There is nothing special in that. I took sinus and allergy medicine about 3 hours ago, maybe two or 3 hours ago, and it's got acetaminophen in there, and I do not want to risk liver damage. So I thought about bringing my Woodford Reserve on up here, which it's only got about 2 shots left in the bottle. Thought about it because my throat's hurting and my voice and all that, but I was like, I don't even want to risk any potential liver issues. So last stream I had my jar of moonshine that I was sipping on. It was a good time. I had fun. Y'all had fun. It was a thing. But yeah, Massey is on with Redacted. Clayton Morris is interviewing him, discussing the anaphylactic reaction from the deep state to the Trump administration. The CIA in Syria, specifically, working overtime to undermine Trump. according to Thomas Massey. This is we essentially have the Pentagon and the CIA fighting each other in Syria. That's what the gist of what I'm getting. Syria is absolutely orchestrated by our intel. It's absolutely orchestrated by our intel right now. We talked a little bit about it last stream. I'm very concerned for the Christians that are still there. Apparently, like 40% have left over the last, few 5-6 years, and they're already being rounded up, and they're already being, threatened by Al Qaeda, because that's who took over Syria, guys. When you get rid of the strong man, the freaking tribal extremists take over because they need an iron fist. You thought it was chew spit? What the fuck? No. I mean, if you want a sip of that, you can have it, I guess. I wouldn't, but you do you, Salt Dumpster. You do you. I do have a cup over here for spitting, just in case I do need to. As I am currently infected with whatever crud is going around, I'm dizzy as heck, and it might be because the tinfoil hat, is keeping in the heat. It's cooking. It's cooking me, guys. We might have to get rid of it here in a minute. I think actually we will probably go ahead and get rid of the tinfoil hat just for this segment. I'm going to bring it back later, guys. When we get to the COVID discussion, I'm bringing it back. But right now, I am going to take the hat off because it's hot. It's hot. Ooh. Ooh. There you go. There we go. That's good for now. We'll bring it back later. It's there for when we need it, guys. It's there for when we need it. Let's go ahead and roll into this discussion here. Interview between Clayton Morse from Redacted and Thomas Massey. This is our Massey Minutes. Since last stream I didn't have any video for you, I had just had some posts that we read through from Thomas Massey. Let's go ahead and get into this clip. 13 minutes or so. We're going to play it. We're going to stop it and pause it and stuff. We're going to do all those things. Let's pull it up. Let's pull it up. Good Lord, I was sweating like a son of a gun up underneath that hat. Whew. Now my head's cold. Let the brain breathe. It was doing something.
Well, overnight, new videos emerging across Syria of Christians and other civilians like farmers being rounded up, throwing their hands up in the air, saying, "We surrender." Then they're being tortured, shot, and killed, and in public fashion as well. It's being done by the very same people, of course, ISIS and Al Qaeda, that we fought for years, people who are on the terrorist watch list. But now suddenly there are friends. The rebranding of ISIS and Al Qaeda is happening in real time. Congressman Thomas Massey wrote this yesterday on X. "I've been actively opposed to the U.S. policy, the Obama, Clinton, Kerry, Biden policy of destabilizing the government of Syria for as long as I've been in Congress. Please pray for the Syrian Christians who have survived our meddling up to this point." And that's exactly what it is: meddling, destabilizing, and destroying what was once one of the most peaceful countries in the world. Congressman Thomas Massey joins us from Capitol Hill today. Congressman, great to see you. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Clayton. Yeah, I'm worried about the people there. And as you well point out, it's a terrorist organization. And I'm not just pulling that out of a hat or making that up. They're designated as a terrorist organization by our own government. The U.S. government designates the group that's now in control of Syria as a terrorist organization. And they evolved from Al Qaeda, Al Nusra, and they claim to have severed ties with them, but we still designate them as terrorists. So you have a lot of people who are celebrating. I think it's the Schadenfreude of Russia being embarrassed here, or Iran being embarrassed, because in this proxy civil war, Russia and Iran was on one side and the U.S. was on the other. Now, we were aligned with the terrorists, ironically, and they were aligned with the dictator. There are no winners in this overthrow of the government, in my opinion. Yeah, the trains may run on time. They keep the electricity on, but I think it's bad news for Christians and other minorities there. Assad, nobody says that he's the paragon of virtue, but he did keep the Christians from being persecuted while he was in power. Hundreds of thousands have fled, are in exile.
Huh. So the trains run on time. Well, where else did the trains run on time, huh? Just saying. Just saying, guys. Interesting comment there from Mr. Massey, isn't it?
And the ones who remained are in greater peril now, as you point out from the videos, than they were just a week ago. And let's talk about the timing of this. Remember, Tulsi Gabbard was in Congress, and she and I collaborated.
It's not supposed to make sense. It's not supposed to make sense. It's supposed to confuse you. Where confusion is present, God is not. I'm just going to go ahead and say that.
On a lot of these efforts to stop our meddling, the U.S. meddling in Syria, and now she's been named as the head of DNI. Well, I think that was the signal.
Tulsi, the Hawaiian mummy, she's got the looks, she's got the chops. She's going to keep them in their place. So says Daddy Trump. I'm looking forward to Tulsi.
To the deep state to go in for the kill and get this over with, because Trump and some of his nominees like Tulsi Gabbard are signaling that we are not going to carry on the policies of Obama and the deep state.
So that's why I've been thinking that we've been talking about that on our show, that it seemed the timing of all of this just seems incredibly fishy. So it is your assessment that this was really an effort.
This is, once Ukraine wraps up, Syria is going to be the next one, guys.
Here before Trump gets into office, to go in and basically put in place this sort of deep state CIA plan in Syria. It's clear as day to you, it seems.
It's clear as day to me. And, whether it was led by the United States or whether we just encouraged it, definitely the timing is not a mistake. When you find a turtle on a fence post, it didn't get there by accident.
Ooh, that is one of my favorite country boy sayings. Let's listen to it again.
Definitely the timing is not a mistake. When you find a turtle on a fence post, it didn't get there by accident. So, for instance,
100%.
some of the stronger powers that be, like Israel, they used their military forces to bomb the dozens of jets and helicopters in Syria. Basically, what
Israel is going for a serious land grab in southern Syria, I believe. Trying to do a little bit of the greater Israel thing? That's a problem.
these terrorists couldn't do, other people in the Middle East hurry up and did here in this last week to make sure that Assad didn't have the typical resources that a government would have to respond to these threats.
You bring up a great point about Assad. You can love him or hate him. You can have your opinions about him. We've covered extensively, though, the cover-up from the Obama administration and the fake chemical attack in Duma,
Yes.
which has now been widely debunked.
The fake chemical attack where the anchor literally leaned in real close and did a big inhale through her nose of a backpack that was apparently exposed to sarin gas. You're telling me that was fake? You're telling me the video that we're seeing on X right now of the freaking prisoners being released with the dramatic rescue from the journalists? You're telling me that might be propaganda? That might be fake? Oh, man. Huh. No way.
The white helmets, of course. You can look deeply into it if you want. We don't have time today to talk all about that, but that's been widely debunked. And it is amazing when you saw all of these forces, these rebel freedom fighters now taking over Damascus and Aleppo and pouring in. It's as if, I saw a post about this yesterday by former UN weapons inspector Scott Ritter, who said, it's almost as if we don't care about the non-existent chemical weapons there because they've just taken over whatever was there, whatever sort of stockpiles were there. There's no mention of any of it from the Biden administration that we're now worried about all of Assad's chemical weapons. It's almost as if he says that we knew they didn't exist all along. It was a phony story. It was a fake.
Just checked on the comments. Michael P. Wall, thank you so much for tearing it up there in the comments. You were getting after it. You got a lot to say there, bud. Xylitol, yeah, I should get some. Apparently, that clear stuff, XLEAR or whatever, that Crowder advertises. Apparently, that stuff's really good. I don't know. Yeah. That's what you literally mentioned that in your comments. Thank you.
Story, and you have evidence now of Al Qaeda and ISIS rebranded, taking over this area, and we don't say a word about all of Assad's chemical weapons.
And I saw Harry Toe in the comments. Thank you so much.
That is a great point that Scott makes. Look, I debunked this stuff in real time, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2019, when they were basically making up these fake chemical attacks. I went on CNN and spoke truth to power. I'm like, look, why would Assad use chemical weapons to entice us into this war? And the reality is he wouldn't have done it. There's no logical sense in doing it. Yet they used opportunities that were either amplified, exaggerated, or false flag created. And they did
Fabricated.
this in like 2016. And I was calling it out. I was going on TV and saying, this doesn't make sense. This is propaganda. And I was telling the propagandists that they were propaganda. They didn't like it. They didn't invite me back on.
No, and now you're seeing the rebranding happening in real time, Congressman, of, whatever you want to call them, HTS, ISIS, Al.
And also, shout out to Michael P. Wall for following the channel. 475 followers. Guys, we are only 25 followers away from 500 followers here on Rumble. Love to see it. Love to see it. What's up, Mr. Scott? Mr. Scott Awesome. Hello, fellow feds. We just got done ranting about the feds for about an hour there, Mr. Scott Awesome.
Qaeda, whatever the name change, the ideology, al-Nusra, the ideology remains the same, right? Chanting in the street about killing Christians and Jews and so forth. And now you see the Biden administration rebranding them. And yesterday, the Washington Post published a story saying that, in fact, there's real debate inside the Biden administration right now whether or not to remove them from the terrorist watch list and remove the $10 million bounty on the head of their leader, Jelani. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, they didn't go out and hire an army. These are basically militias with an ideology. They're motivated by an ideology. And when they said they severed their ties with Al-Qaeda, which is where they came from in 2016 or whenever, they couldn't sever their ties with the ideology because their fighters are motivated by religious ideology, and they're the same fighters. They didn't go out and hire a new set of militia. And so I'm not buying it myself that they are somehow now separate and they've extinguished that radical ideology.
From a congressional perspective, sir, you've been really one of the few voices here speaking out against our involvement in Syria. I know Congressman Matt Gaetz as well. That got voted down. It's like you're fighting an uphill battle against these globalists and these warmongers, the military-industrial complex that wants us involved there. I know the Biden administration has already said we're going to be sending weapons. We're going to do what we can to help these freedom fighters. I love that we call them freedom fighters.
Wendy, we are in the MASSIE Minute. 13-minute clip. We are 8 minutes in talking about the CIA's involvement in the Syria kerfuffle and how it hurts Trump because the deep state has its anaphylactic reaction to anything that would dare challenge the status quo. We're seeing it. Hopefully it doesn't result in anything too explosive, let's say, but it could.
Fighters and rebels. What are you going to do in Congress? What are you able to do in Congress to try to stop any sort of further meddling in this country and maybe try to help these people who are being slaughtered, these Christians and otherwise?
Well, look, a lot of this is up to Trump's CIA director and State Department. And that's because we have waged a secret war, a secret support for these rebels, according to New York Times. I always have to say that, because I may be in possession of information I can't tell you. But if the New York Times tells you that we spent, starting in 2013, $1 billion in Syria in covert operations, then maybe the New York Times knows something.
I love the way he just did that. That was so beautiful. That was so beautiful. The way he just did that. That's why I love him. That's why I love Massie. He's great. He's one of the few representatives. Kentucky's got some good ones. Rand Paul, Thomas Massie, and then what the fuck happened with Glitch McConnell, Kentucky? Y'all gotta fix that. Turtle stew.
And when Pompeo came in under Trump, he did say that he was going to reverse that policy of the secret Civil War support.
I think we need to add an adjustment to the Second Amendment that everybody should be provided a weapon, a gun. I think that's an American duty. I think you should be able to apply for a grant for at least 2 to 3 weapons. I'm just saying. Up there in North Dakota, huh, Michael P? Nice.
Or, you know, the secret, not secret support that we were providing. What can I do in Congress? I can offer amendments, for instance, to try to defund these things. We're going to pass an NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, here in the next week that ironically has written into the base text support for both sides of this war. And it's obsolete already. The language of this thing is obsolete. It's like you said, who owns the chemical weapons now? The terrorists control Syria. Let's put air quotes around the chemical weapons that, you know, the propagandists claimed that Assad was using. Who owns those? The same question you could apply to this National Defense Authorization Act that Congress is going to pass. Who are we giving the money?
Massey is also one of the individuals that is pushing for a constitutional carry amendment or legislation. We covered it in a stream probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. You're getting more and more people signing on to it. So keep on going, Massey. Let's get it done. Jabberjaw, mandatory gun possessions would lower the crime rate significantly. I concur, good sir. I assume you're a sir. Oh my God, I assumed your gender. Such a transphobe. How dare I? How dare I?
To now that one side has prevailed when the bill says we're going to give money to both sides.
I remember that famous Los Angeles Times headline from like 10 years ago that says the Pentagon is basically fighting the CIA in Syria. We're funding the Pentagon side. We're funding the CIA side. Elon Musk retweeted that the other day. Of course, that's an old headline, but it's the truth. And do you think that the incoming Trump administration and whoever, you know, is going to be running the deep state CIA will have an appetite to walk away from these things and to put an end to it? Do you think Trump is kind of fully versed on this like you are?
Well, I think if Tulsi Gabbard gets confirmed, you know, director of national intelligence, yeah, he's going to be fully informed on this. She doesn't pull punches. She's not going to hide stuff from him. And they're not allowed legally to hide stuff from her. Now, of course, they're going to try to, but that's why it's so important that she gets confirmed. I don't want to go through the list, get myself in trouble here and say which of the nominations I think are great and which are not so great. But Tulsi is great. We got to make sure people like her and RFK Jr. get their confirmations and are in there, you know, rubbing elbows with the other folks who are in there, because there's going to be competition in Trump's administration. Look, we've got congressional leaders here. I say they've got the meat hook.
Michael P., you'll probably see this later, but
It's already in.
You're good, man. You're good.
In them. The deep state has their meat hooks in our congressional leaders, and they're not going to change. At some point, we're in there because there's going to be competition in Trump's administration. Look, we've got congressional leaders here. I say they've got the meat hooks already in them. The deep state has their meat hooks in our congressional leaders, and they're not going to change. At some point, there is going to be a sort of a come to Jesus moment, I think, in the Trump administration. Right now, it's all kumbaya. You've got our leaders here in Congress saying, oh, we're going to support Trump. But the problem is they're puppets of globalists and lobbyists for the military industrial complex. And at some point, they're going to have to resolve their obligations to the military industrial complex and their obligations to the mandate that Trump has, which is to get us out of all these stupid, meddling affairs all over the globe. And that's going to be interesting. When I see that the conflict getting glossed over, and for instance, Trump's agenda, which is the American agenda, they put us.
Yep.
And I told President Trump, you've got 6 months to basically operate or capitalize on the mandate that you have. And once we go 6 months into this administration, it's just going to tie him up like a boxer that hugs the other boxer and keep him from getting things done. They'll try to start some other scandal with his administration, with people in his administration. They'll start trying to cancel people like Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr. That's already begun. So, what is my role? My role is I'm privy to, I've got a front row seat to some of these arguments and some of the cover-ups. And, I'll come on your show and speak truth to power when I see it.
Well, we would love that. And
Heck
you'd have
yeah.
a platform here anytime, Congressman, because we hold you in very high regard as one of the few voices of truth on Capitol Hill. Thank you so much for what you're doing and holding truth to power and keeping them honest up there. And we will be watching it closely. Congressman, I know you've got to run and you've got a busy day there on Capitol Hill. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We appreciate it. Thanks
for having me on, Clayton. Bye-bye.
Well, overnight.
He's one of the ones that honestly, I would make an exception for Thomas Massie to avoid term limits. If term limits just ended up being a thing, or at least set it up to where he can have somebody come in right after him that is pretty much a clone of him. If we could have all members of Congress be like Thomas Massie, our country would thrive. Our country would absolutely thrive, in my opinion. But yeah. Oh, Jabber, definitely a male shark, huh? Well, now I know. Oh man, that was a good one. That was good Massie minutes. Thomas Massie is one of the ones that actually gives a crap. He's calling it out. He's putting it out on Front Street. It's good to see. Wendy, who were you hanging out? You were saying something about maybe raiding later. Not sure who we might raid, but it'll definitely come up. We're at 2 hours and 6 minutes, though. We are a little bit behind. Might not get to the UFO story. As like I said, this topic coming up with the interview with David Martin. The interview with David Martin on the Jimmy Dore show from a few months ago was one of the most information heavy. It's like an hour and 20 minutes. So I don't think we might play it in 1.5 so that we get through it a little bit quicker. I don't want to miss anything. So if it's something that I think is particularly important, we will backtrack and get into it. But I think this is very important information. Very important information from David Martin. Worth a follow, by the way, at Dr. David Martin or at Dr. D Martin World on X, and Jimmy Dore, one of my favorite socialists. He's on it on some things and he's way off on other things, but you know what? He's calling it as he sees it. He's being blunt. He's being honest. I think he might have voted for Trump, to be honest with you all. He might have voted for Trump. Trish One sharing out that Venmo and Cash App link. Guys, if you are so inclined to donate directly to the Dozer Den, well, there are two options right there that bypass Rumble rants or subscriptions. Donate directly to the Dozer Den with the Venmo or Cash App, whichever strikes your fancy. Nobody ever has to donate to the Dozer Den, but if you do choose to do so, very chadly of you, very chadly indeed. Thank you so much for the support, regardless of if you contribute financially. Thank you for the support with your interaction here in the chat, with your comments in the comment section, sharing the stream out, liking the show, liking the channel, and following, getting us closer to 500 followers here on X. Maybe we can creep back up to 3,000 followers over there on X. I'm at 500 here on Rumble. 3,000 on X if we can get back to it. We're at like 2,800 right now. Let's see it. And we got a Discord as well. Ooh, nice. Let's go ahead and I think I might have to put my tinfoil hat back on. It's my head's cooled down quite a bit, and I think we are probably going to go ahead and put the tinfoil hat back on. And while we're talking about tinfoil hats, oh man, do it! Come on, Rumble Ad Center. That's ridiculous. I was going to roll into a dang ad read. Ah, there it is. While we're talking about tinfoil hats, guys, I want to talk about things that people are afraid to say out loud. Who is in control of America's nukes? It's not Biden. Meanwhile, we have Russia ships off the coast of Florida and full-blown wars in Ukraine and Israel, now Syria. The world is at its most unstable point since World War II, and with nuclear weapons, the stakes are 10 times higher. How do people like you and I stay safe? Well, every prepper needs to have RadioGuard Ace, the only FDA-approved drug to treat radioactive fallout. Only the feds had it until now. That's why Rumble's partnered with 5G Free, the only company in the world that has a supply of RadioGuard Ace and the ability to prescribe it prophylactically. Get their radiation emergency kit with RadioGuard Ace, potassium iodide, Zofran, and a Geiger counter. There's simply no other tool in your arsenal to protect against radioactive threat. Go to 5gfree.com, code STUDIO to save 15% and get your radiation kit right now. Check them out, guys. Rumble offers those little ad reads for the small creators like myself to get a little extra change. There it is. All right. Since we got our tinfoil hat back on, we're going to roll into our next topic. Since all the conspiracy theories are, coming true, we might as well talk about this one a little bit. Oh, I don't know if this is going to work this time. We're going to try. See if we can keep this hat on a little bit more solid there. Oh, no. This is not working. It's not working. My hat's struggling. A little bit cockeyed, guys. A little bit cockeyed. But let's go ahead and start sharing the screen so you don't see how cockeyed the hat is. And let's give Dr. David Martin. Let's give him his due. He has got a lot of information to impart upon the masses, and it's definitely. Oh, Michael B. Wall, you got the dang Yogurthy mug from Crowder. I got one of those. One broke. I had to get a replacement. It's a good mug. I haven't used it in a while. Need to bring it back out. But let's go ahead and roll into this interview. We are going to go ahead and play at. We're going to try. Maybe. We'll do 1.5. We'll do 1.5 and see how that goes. If it's somewhat annoying, please let me know. But let's go ahead and get through this. It's an hour and 20 minutes, so hopefully we can get it done in about an hour. So I do want to try to get to sleep a little bit earlier tonight, as I do have an appointment at 8 a.m. Or a meeting at 8 a.m. So let's roll into it.
So guest with us, Dr. David E. Martin is the founder and owner of the company MCAM International, which has provided research and corporate advisory services to over 160 countries, while he has personally served as an advisor to the World Bank and many governments. Dr. Martin first arose to global attention when he appeared in the August 2020 documentary Plandemic Indoctrination. He is also a Batten Fellow at the University of Virginia's Darden Graduate School of Business Administration. Welcome to the show, Dr. David E. Martin.
Jimmy, it's a delight to be here.
Okay, I wanted to show you this because you've been doing some great work on the history of the COVID-19 vaccine and the patents that go back way further than anybody imagines. But before we get into that, I just wanted to show you this.
It's not a vaccine. It's an experimental procedure, but okay.
So I came across this. Back in the day, they tried to tell you about vaccine.
He got injured by the shot, by the way. I'm pretty sure. I think that's what that droopy eye is. I'm almost sure it's the droopy eye. I think he did say he got injured. I think it's the eye.
And this is the mainstream news media. Now, this was before 1997 when Bill Clinton made it okay for pharmaceutical companies to basically buy off the news media. So we used to have 50 giant news companies. Yep. Bill Clinton, through the Telecommunications Act in 1996, took us from 50 giant news companies down to 6. And then they allowed pharmaceutical companies to advertise directly to consumers. There's only 2 countries in the whole world that do that, the United States and New Zealand, and they were the worst at COVID, right? And the mandates.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they just want to tell customers about prescription drugs they should tell their doctor to give them.
So what they're doing, so you have to remember, just like when Boeing does an ad for NBC News, nobody's in the market to buy a 727 or what they're doing is they're not funding the investigation of the news media. They're funding their non-investigation. So they're saying, hey, Correct. If you say anything bad about us,
yeah, we might raid AP later.
We're going to take our money away. Same thing with Big Pharma, which is why everybody was misled. But look at what they used to say before Big Pharma was allowed to buy the news media. Watch this.
Today, doctors at the Federal Communicable Disease Center acknowledge the flu vaccine and the recommended dosage is ineffective, while in a larger dose it can be harmful. However, the flu vaccine is still recommended for old people and the chronically ill.
Last month, a Senate subcommittee headed by Abraham Ribicoff charged that the federal government wasn't doing a good enough job of informing the public about ineffective vaccines.
Scientists at the Division of Biologic Standards test vaccines for their potency and safety before licensing them for public use. However, the division does not...
If it's ineffective and it could do more damage, but it's still recommended, guys, that is insane with the flu. The flu shot absolutely is doing more damage than good.
Determine the effectiveness of the vaccine. That is left to the manufacturers. A case in point is the influenza vaccine. 4 scientists in charge of work on the flu vaccine during the 1960s found it.
Yeah, I put it at 1.5. Do you guys want me to put it at 1.25? Because 1.5 might be a little bit crazy. I'm going to bring it down to 1.25. I'm just thinking I do have, like I said, I have an early meeting in the morning, so I want to be, probably in sleep. I'm not going to go to sleep until 3 a.m. anyway. So I'm going to try it at 1.25. If it's if it's annoying or it's not hitting right, just let me know and I'll just go ahead and do 1 and we'll just do our thing.
Found it to be ineffective, said they refused to give it to their own families. 2 were transferred to other work, a 3rd left the division. And over the entire 10-year period, not one word of their unfavorable findings was allowed to be published. But a more serious case involving the relationship between the leaders of the division and their scientists involves the adenovirus vaccine.
Sounded like Ben Shapiro. Okay, I switched it to 1.25. You guys let me know if it's 1.2. Okay, good deal. Good deal. What's up, Castro? Castro in the chat. What's up, savages?
Vaccine given to thousands of American soldiers to prevent certain cold-like symptoms. When it was shown that the vaccine contained a contaminant which caused cancer in laboratory animals, it was taken off the market.
But the vaccine contained a contaminant which caused cancer.
But that was 3 years after the division's own scientists had pointed out the danger. Dr. Murray justifies the use of the vaccine by saying it took 3 years to examine the evidence against it.
It's more important to use the vaccines than to take them off the market and remove the agent.
More important to use the vaccines than to take them off the market and remove the agent.
But since the agent couldn't be removed, there was no other course.
Thus, for 3 years, American troops were injected with a cold-preventing vaccine which was causing cancer in laboratory animals. And some of the division's scientists who charged they were prevented from publishing.
Castro, yes. Since all the conspiracy theories are coming true, and with the Certification Day 2021 stuff, with the Inspector General report, with this topic here specifically, with the UFO stuff, which we might not get to tonight, I figured a tinfoil hat was freaking appropriate, Castro. This is the special Dozer Den tinfoil hat. We're gonna make a design or something. Me and Sterling are gonna have a competition here. See if we can get different people taking pictures of themselves wearing a design. I think that's a good idea. I don't know how that's gonna work, but I'm gonna try it. We'll see. Thanks for joining, guys. Don't forget to smash that like button. Saw we had 24 likes. Seeing that we've had 34 to 40 people watching at a time here on the stream. Guys, if you don't have a Rumble account yet, go ahead and just take a couple minutes out of your day, create a Rumble account, follow the channel, show your support for a free speech platform like Rumble by creating an account and participating, hanging out.
Results of experiments which show some of the vaccines to be ineffective.
The control officer in 1960, who has grave doubts about the potency of influenza vaccine. These doubts were made known to the director of the division and through the proper channels.
I didn't know those were even that old, the flu shots.
So yes,
oh yeah.
So now that's when the news media wasn't bought by Big Pharma. Yeah. And now we know what happened. But do you think anything has changed with Big Pharma and the doctors and the scientists? Has anything changed internally?
No, Jimmy, and it's worth noting. I mean, I saw it in your intro. I thought it was interesting. I used to be on CNBC and I used to be on Bloomberg. And one of the things that was interesting when I was on CNBC was, I don't know if you remember, but once upon a time, we were worried about the opioid crisis.
Yes.
That was killing people, hundreds of thousands of people across the country, millions of people around the world. And ironically, I pointed out that Purdue Pharmaceuticals was
Wendy, I'm just going to say this. On Instagram, there are some reasons that females get followers a little bit more easily than males. I'm just saying. I'm not mad about it. But it kind of is what it is. I don't know. I don't have Instagram. I've heard things. I had Instagram for a while there, but it was very addictive. Whatever algorithm they had, Instagram had my freaking they had me dead to rights, and I was addicted to that for a minute. So I deleted it and just deleted my account. Maybe I'll create an account at some point again. I don't know. We'll see.
Patenting a non-addictive formula for the opioid drugs that they were selling so that no one could produce them. So that the only drugs that could be produced were addictive. So they patented the non-addictive forms, kept them from the market. And I spent 18 months on the editorial meetings at CNBC from 2016 to 2018 trying to get that story told. But apparently, that was not a newsworthy story. It wasn't a newsworthy story to say that while we had get ready for this, we had a declared pandemic, we had a declared emergency use authorization for anything we could do to actually deal with the opioid crisis. But the company that was making the drugs filed patents on the non-addictive formulas so that no one could produce them. And for 2 years, the CNBC editorial board told me that story couldn't run because it wasn't newsworthy. I did exactly the same thing in the late 2010s when the EpiPen scandal broke, when a new executive came along and wanted to price the EpiPen at $40,000 a dose. That's for every child that needs that EpiPen out on the soccer field. They wanted that to be
Disgusting.
a $40,000 a dose administration.
Disgusting.
And I suggest it was unethical, because I figured if your kid's on a soccer field, you shouldn't have to choose between your mortgage and saving your kid's life. I thought that was crazy. And CNBC once again told me that that story couldn't run. So what I did was I wrote an op-ed, and because the op-ed got so much traction, CNBC ultimately published my op-ed as the official story that broke the EpiPen scandal. But don't think for a minute this is unique to vaccines. There are literally hundreds of cases where we have pharmaceutical companies, to your point, that bought news coverage so that the news would not be told. And in the case of the opioid addiction, as you know, now the family, conveniently with the patriarch of the family dead, we're now finding out that Purdue Pharmaceutical was a corrupt company, but they literally are responsible, no kidding, for hundreds of thousands of deaths across this country. And they would not do the story. CNBC to this day will not do the story on the non-addictive patents for opioid drugs.
Yeah, what drug is that? So it's an opioid that's not addictive. Someone actually made that? It's not like it was fentanyl. It turns out it is addictive or something, right? It was a.
Oh no! This is actually legitimately. They filed patents on all the non-addictive formulas so that no one could produce them.
So there's no such thing as that.
It doesn't exist, is what you're saying. It just exists in a formula. No
I
one's
had no
made
idea
it.
you could even make something like that.
So
yeah, you can, and it's illegal to produce because Purdue Pharma patented it and blocked it from the market.
And so.
Big Pharma is trying to kill us. That's absolutely true. Think of how many poor white people could have ended up not being on an opioid kick if there was a non-addictive version of it. Think of how many people that never had a problem with addiction. They got a serious injury, then all of a sudden got prescribed all these fucking opioids and ended up severely addicted to them. Ended up resorting to the illegal shit. Ended up abusing their medicine and taking more than they should. Living on a sedation drip, essentially, for the rest of their lives. Because something like what David Martin just talked about wasn't allowed to come to fruition. They patented the non-addictive opioid, wouldn't let you produce it.
So why have I never heard this story? Why do I have to have you come on the show for us to, no one else has covered it? Has anybody else covered this?
No one has covered this story ever. No one has ever covered it.
Dippy liberals that at least know Purdue Pharma is bad. They think like Pfizer's great. Purdue Pharma, they all saw the Netflix document.
Good point, Castro. They want you sick and dependent. They want you alive, but completely addicted to their substance and completely just health absent.
Various docs. That information I've never heard from any of them.
I've never heard. It's not in that. It's not in they did a documentary on Purdue and all the opioid crisis.
Never, Jimmy, never once has this story been ever publicized, despite 2 years of me recommending to the CNBC editorial board that we cover it, and not once was it covered.
And so what is that like when you are you in a meeting when you recommend it, or you do it through email? So what happens at the meeting?
No, I'm sitting up in New Jersey at the headquarters of CNBC, and I'm told that you can't have these conversations because advertisers will not approve running these kind of stories.
And that's that.
I'm still blown away. That's a technology that exists.
I'm blown away too.
I guess I see why they wouldn't.
Well, it makes me excited because now I want to go do opioids that I know they're out there that I could go get my.
Don't do the most illegal kind there are that aren't addictive. What? That's crazy, man.
I was.
Is there a name of it, or it's just like a molecule chain or something?
Oh no, these are all patented formulas. Yeah, there's a bunch of molecules that specifically make the opioid non-addictive. But you don't know about them, and nobody knows about them because apparently it's not newsworthy. So why don't we move on to something like, I don't know, somebody's clothes falling off because it's a it's a wardrobe failure, because that's newsworthy, but killing people, not really newsworthy.
Well, you have to understand these people, they're also concerned about overpopulation. So a lot of stuff, there's a synergy here.
Kind of just fits together.
That's one of the main problems. There's too many people, and we got to find new ways.
So I'm going to show you now. I want to show you. They have ads for the booster. I just want to remind people, because this got reported, but nowhere near the amount of press it should have gotten. The two top people who were at the FDA's vaccine, oversaw the vaccine department at the FDA, worked there for 30 years, resigned over the boosters. Here's Here's the headline. 2 top FDA officials resigned over the Biden administration's booster shot plan, saying it insisted on the policy before the agency approved it. So what they're saying is there wasn't any science. The FDA didn't approve, but the Biden administration pressured the FDA to approve it. And the FDA, I guess, apparently was going to go along with it. And so these people resigned, and then they went along with it. So then they put in Toti. So
They were
here,
there 30 years.
so they were there 30
So
years.
imagine the corruption that didn't make them leave
Right.
until this.
Until
They're
this.
like, you got to at least fake that we approved it.
So Political and Endpoints reported that they left in frustration over Biden's COVID-19 booster shot plan. They led the FDA office in charge of approval. So it was Marion Gruber and Philip Krause. Did you know about this story?
Yeah, and it's amazing. It's like when the World Health Organization pulled remdesivir back in Ebola trials in 2018 because it was unethical, because it was killing 53% of the population into which it was injected. And it's amazing when you have these amazing ethical breaches where at some point, I guess, I don't know, if you were part of a booster program at the FDA for a thing that does not do any public health service, you wonder where the ethical line lives in your mind, because obviously you've been going along with the nonsense for a while. But the fact of the matter is, in this particular case, what people are starting to realize is the FDA is potentially now culpable for criminal conspiracy and antitrust violations. And so I think they're leaving because there's RICO charges that might be coming. I don't think they're leaving because they have a conscience.
Wow.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, see, here's what I say about Dr. Fauci, right? And these people who all, and Collins and the woman who was the head of the CDC, they can lie with impunity and lie with impunity to Congress because the same people who own them also own the government, who are supposed to be prosecuting them. Right. So if you lie at the behest of the establishment, which is what Fauci did when he lied and said that they weren't funding gain of function, he was doing it at the behest of the Pentagon. He was and DARPA, and so there those and so the CIA, the FBI, he's doing that at the behest of the establishment.
Man, Wendy, I wanted some ravioli earlier today. When I'm dealing with a man cold, because that's what this is. This is definitely a man cold. When I'm dealing with a man cold, I like ravioli. Don't know. It's like some people like chicken noodle soup. Me, good, nice hot bowl of ravioli with some salt, pepper, garlic powder, some basil on top of it. Maybe a little Parmesan cheese sprinkled on there too. I need it.
And those people don't work for the American people. They work for those. So they'll never be. So you're saying you think that's how would that happen? How would the government decide to start prosecuting these people who are lying?
Well,
go ahead.
Listen, the government is not going to do it at a federal level, but what will happen is states are starting to recognize that the states' economies were shut down without any justification. Mm-hmm. States were forced to support ridiculous interventions because of federal mandates without any economic support. And states are starting to realize that all of this was done because of something which is an actual very interesting old legal statute called the engaging in ultra hazardous activities. It's actually a very significant criminal problem. And it goes back to some really interesting old UK laws. But the one here in the United States, Langham v. Velicopters, which is the famous case in the United States around this, says that if you willfully engage in an ultra hazardous activity, you are actually liable. And if you do it as part of a conspiracy, it's a racketeering charge. And so what's happening is we're working with several states right now to actually develop state claims against the federal agencies for willfully engaging in ultra hazardous activities, which ultimately harm the states.
Oh, wow.
They better do it all at once, because one by one they'll pick them off with some weird. Remember the guy that was suing in Texas that was suing? All of a sudden, some weird smears came out about it.
The attorney general in Texas.
Oh yeah, well, listen. I mean, that's the reason why we're coordinating this across a number of states right now.
Okay, so let me show you this. So this was the FDA
doing something about it. That's awesome to hear. And this was from a few months ago, so the court system moves slowly, but it is good to hear that someone was actually doing something about it.
A straight up commercial. Don't be shocked. You can now recharge your immunity with an updated COVID-19 booster.
I'm feeling low on immunity, Jimmy.
So that's from September 9th, 2022. Isn't so that to me looks like a straight up commercial for a big pharma product.
Yeah.
And
that is a straight up commercial, and that is a fraudulent, and that once again across the states is what's called a deceptive consumer practice. And under the Federal Trade Commission, it's called a deceptive medical practice, where you're actually willfully lying to the public to induce them to do something they would not otherwise do if you actually told them the truth. Nothing about these shots does anything to, quote, recharge immunity. What it does is it instructs your body, as I've said many times, to take the mRNA instructions and start making spike proteins, which are actually scheduled toxins by the United States government. So what you should be doing is recharging your, I don't know, stockpile of biological weapons that you're manufacturing in your own body, because obviously no one has enough biological weapons floating around in their own body. So you need to recharge it every now and then.
It looks like a battery from my iPhone, and I like iPhone, so I want to go recharge.
There's no.
There you go.
Well, all I can say is there's no way what you're saying can be true, because the FDA and the CDC and the WHO has assured me that the spike protein and the boosters and the vaccine is safe and effective, and it will keep you from being seriously ill or hospitalized. And of course, you don't want to die, and it's safe for everybody, from babies to.
Well, and this is what I love about it. I mean, listen, it used to be back in the heady days of 2019 that the FDA actually had a published standard on what a vaccine clinical trial was supposed to be. Ironically, they actually published it, and it was actually a statutory thing. It was published as a statutory issue. And ironically, in the case of 2020, which for those who are not familiar with the calendar and how it progresses over time, 1 year later, allegedly, the clinical trials for allegedly what was called the COVID-19 vaccine was actually done where nothing about immunity was tested, nothing about transmissibility was tested, nothing about the ability to block infection was tested. The only thing that was allegedly scored, and I want to be very clear on this, scored was whether or not you actually got severe case symptoms of COVID problem. COVID itself was nothing more than a list of 11 symptoms, of which you had to have more than 4.
Huh.
So a committee had to decide whether you actually had COVID. There was no such thing as a test. There was no such thing as anything else. And in the clinical trials, if you actually read the FDA clinical trials, what you find is that the determination of whether you had a disease was actually subjectively determined by a board of medical professionals. I don't know about you, Jimmy, but when you're sick, I don't know if you need to have a committee come in and actually weigh in on, do you have enough chills to really call yourself sick, or are you just faking kind of not wanting to show up somewhere? We need to have a committee to determine whether you're actually sick. Because remember, at no point in any of the clinical trials was there a measure that said you actually, God forbid, had to have a lab test to confirm that you had something. All you had to do was have symptoms. And at no point in the clinical trial was there ever a measure of whether or not somebody actually had something that could have been associated with a pathogen. It doesn't exist in the clinical trial, in violation of the 2019 FDA published requirements on what a clinical trial has to include.
Well, let me. What was the piece?
Yeah, Trish, that's definitely a bot. I went ahead and muted permanently. So, yeah, that's one of those bot ones. The mRNA in your food and in your, that's the classic.
PCR test for.
Well, the PCR test was for the fear porn of pretending that somehow or another people could measure the existence or the absence of a response to what they said was a SARS-CoV-2 infection. But the problem that they had was that, unfortunately, the majority of people that actually allegedly had COVID, they said by symptoms, did not have any positive test. And the most people that had positive tests didn't have any symptoms. So the problem is, how do you have a...
It's because the tests are bullshit. The PCR tests can be designed to increase the cycle threshold to pick up anything you want. You can test an orange peel and say the orange peel had COVID. Absolutely. The guy who created the PCR test said that they were unreliable due to the fact that they can be manipulated to be so sensitive that they can pick up anything that you want.
Disease, which can only exist by symptoms, remember. The World Health Organization was very clear. COVID-19 was defined by symptoms. You can't have it if you don't have symptoms by definition. But here's the funny thing. We had all these asymptomatic people coming around, allegedly, because the PCR tests were telling us that these people allegedly had SARS-CoV-2. Tiny little problem. They actually didn't. They amplified the cycle thresholds on the PCR test so much that they could determine that you had anything.
Yes.
You could have had
literally
a cat allergy and they would have found it, and you could have been a person living with 35 cats in your house having no allergy. The fact of the matter is the PCR test measured nothing associated with any disease. It had only an amplification of cycle thresholds for the purpose of the fear porn, getting the numbers up so everybody ran to get the shot.
So you're telling me, so what in the trials, you're saying they didn't, I know they didn't test to see if it stopped transmission or contraction, because a Pfizer executive admitted that when it was questioned at the European Parliament. And that's when we first found out they never even tested to see if it stopped transmission. And her response why they didn't was because she said they were working at the speed of science, which is a made up term.
Isn't that great? Speed of science.
It's
so
really
fast.
fast.
They went to plaid.
Say it again.
I said they went to plaid like Spaceballs.
Yeah.
That's what they did.
So what are you saying they did test for again?
Well, they didn't. That's the problem. The only thing that COVID-19 is in a medical defined sense, and the World Health Organization published this in March of 2020, COVID-19 is the set of symptoms. SARS-CoV-2 was supposedly the novel coronavirus. But here's the problem with both of those statements. Allegedly, the novel coronavirus was not novel. It was actually published in 2016, so we have that problem. And it was published by Ralph Baric at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. So I don't know how you can get something novel in 2020 that was published in 2016 under the headline SARS Wuhan Institute of Virology Virus 1 poised for human emergence. I don't know about you, but when you actually say in the headline, Wuhan Institute of Virology Virus 1 is poised for human emergence, I don't think anybody could plausibly say that in 2020 we're surprised that something came out, given the fact it was published from UNC Chapel Hill in the unlikely, unfindable source, the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. So no one could have ever found it. It was so well hidden. Poised for human emergence in 2016, that novel thing, which we were told was the thing that was taking over the world in 2020, that novel thing was actually not novel. And the problem is that if you go and look at what was actually happening, Jimmy, in the clinical trial, if you had tested for the spike protein, which is the thing that makes you sick, then everybody who got the shot would have come back positive. So they could not test any biologic test at all.
Because the shot makes your body a spike protein factory. And it's absolutely insane that people are so fucking stupid that they can in one breath say the damn spike protein in one breath. People got so fucking retarded about this shot, about COVID, but during the COVID craze, they got so retarded about this stuff that they could literally tell you in one breath that the spike protein is the serious issue with the COVID illness. The spike protein's the problem, guys, but we're going to take this fucking shot. We're going to take this shot that was barely any research done into, well, except for all the research done that we didn't know about before that, for genetic manipulation. We're going to take this shot that turns us into a spike protein factory. How fucking retarded do you have to be that you can sit there and tell me that the issue with COVID is the spike protein, and that I'm going to take a shot that makes my body a literal spike protein factory? Miss me with that bullshit, you fucking retards. God bless. Just think for yourself. Like Sterling says, think for yourself. Question authority. No, we're just going to go ahead and do what the fucking government tells us. We're going to bend over like ostriches with our heads in the fucking sand, and we're going to take it up the fucking ass. That's what people did during COVID, and the people that did it, you fucking disgust me, honestly. At a certain point, you disgust me. Now, if you woke up and you said, damn, that was probably pretty stupid, well, you know what? I have a little hope for you, and you don't disgust me as much. If you were freaked out at first, I get that, and I do empathize with it. First couple months, yeah, I was a little freaked out too. Didn't want to cause my stepdad's 80-something years old. My mom's not in great health. I didn't want to, be around them for a little bit because I didn't want to risk getting them injured, getting them sick, whatever. But after about a month or so, I kind of thought, maybe this thing's worth something. Maybe it makes a difference. I don't know. Just insane. Just the logic was so absent with people. They'd lost their fucking minds when it came to this shit. And we're so scared that they just defaulted to daddy government, please hug me. That's pretty much what people did. Daddy government, please hug me. I'm scared. And it really is a sad testament to where the American independence that built this nation, where it's gone. It's severely just hindered by the authorities, by the powers that be, and we let it happen. Fuck it next time. If we don't have more people next time that say fuck you to the state, fuck you to any damn cop that's going to enforce a unconstitutional edict, try to chase somebody on the beach because you're outside enjoying the sun. Are you serious? We let that shit happen. More people need to stand up and assertively go, fuck no, I'm not budging. If we don't see that next time, we don't have a fucking country anymore. I'll just go ahead and say that. We need more people to say, no thank you, I'm good. That's nice if you want to do that, but I'm going to do my own fucking thing. Yes, Dark Bill. Dark Bill had to come out. All right. Back to this. This is, if you, I think this clip is extremely important. This is one of the most important interviews I think that we have had on the internet. David Martin is a wealth of knowledge. Absolutely, absolutely insane. Rigged individualism went down. Rigid individualism went down the shitter, but we are coming back. I sure as fuck hope so, JJR. I sure as fuck hope so. Let's get back to Dr. David Martin. I might have to take my hat off again. It's getting a little toasty over here. Starting to feel a bead of sweat roll down. Pulling it back, pulling it back. Oh, you meant rugged. Ah, I got you.
In the clinical trial, because ironically, everybody that got the shot would have been making the pathogen that allegedly was supposed to be killing us.
So
the problem is you were actually doing it in your own body if you got the shot. So the bad news is everybody would have tested positive. So in the clinical trial, the existence of symptoms, and by the way, go back and look at the FDA record on this, the existence of symptoms and allegedly the severity of avoiding hospitalization were the primary clinical outcomes of what they called a vaccine. There was no measure of infection, no measure of transmission, and no measure of immune response officially in the large-scale clinical trial. There was none.
I just have to call you a liar. There's no way.
Why are you racist?
Why are you lying? Why do you hate black people?
I know. Why do I hate humanity so much?
Hey, Chapel Hill, weren't they? We did a story about how they're dicking around with viruses just like Wuhan.
They're
didn't we?
still, yeah, we're gonna get.
Oh no, not just like Wuhan. Let's get it clear. In 2014, October of 2014, NIAID sent a letter to Ralph Barrick at UNC Chapel Hill during the gain of function moratorium, telling him that the Wuhan Institute of Virology virus 1 spike protein coronavirus that he was working on in gain of function research was subject to the moratorium, and he was authorized to violate the moratorium by NIAID in October of 2014. In 2016, he published the paper, Wuhan Institute of Virology virus 1 poised for human emergence, which actually was the amplification of spike protein. And at the end of the paper, there are two, not one, but two institutional review boards that were impaneled by UNC Chapel Hill. The first one was to measure the ethics of doing gain of function research on a known pathogen. And the second was to assess the ethics of violating the moratorium willfully by the university. So they actually had two independent reviews. This is, by the way, right in the final statement in the paper itself. You go back and look at the 2016 SARS or the Wuhan Institute of Virology virus 1 poised for human emergence. At the end of the paper, they not only tell you all of that, but they also tell you that they actually took the Wuhan Institute of Virology virus, reconstituted it in Chapel Hill, and that's what they used as the gain of function platform. So all the nonsense you guys have heard about Peter Daszak and Eco Health Alliance and all that kind of stuff is a $3.8 million cover story for the $300 million story you haven't talked about.
That's extremely important right now. What he's about to talk about is very important.
Which is the DARPA and NIAID gain of function research at UNC Chapel Hill.
So you're saying, I mean, I'm
You're saying that you love Hitler and you want fascism to come to America. If I hear correctly, Jimmy.
It's all about fascism. It's all about, is there any way we can accelerate ourselves into the absolute, resurgence of the Fourth Reich? It's all about that.
I think we're well into it. Sounds like.
So you're saying.
There you go.
You're saying that So the story that I've been reporting, that Barack Obama put a pause on gain of function research, and that Dr. Fauci decided to go around that by doing it through a CIA cutout called Eco Health Alliance and sending it to Wuhan, and that's where this. You're saying that's a cover story.
That is 100% a cover story, and the evidence is mountains high, and we have been reporting on it. My first briefings on this stuff go back to 2014, and the fact of the matter is, everybody who's fallen for the Eco Health Alliance story has fallen for the cover story for the agency.
And so what?
So it's more about DARPA than it is Eco Health Alliance. I think Eco Health Alliance is still important to be aware of and cognizant of, but I think he raises an excellent point. You had 3.8 million that went into that when you had 300 million going into the DARPA development. So yeah, his point is definitly valid here.
So the real story is more damning than that, because that seems horrible.
Oh God, yeah, way worse.
Sounds like real dark shit.
Tell me. So the real story again is this guy Ralph Barrick.
The real story is Ralph Barrick, who received a letter in October. By the way, all this is up on my X file. You can pull it off the X. The original documents are all there. But the October 2014 letter not only authorized the Wuhan Institute of Virology Virus 1 to be weaponized at UNC Chapel Hill. I'm using the term weaponized specifically because in 2005, Ralph Baric said that his work was synthetic coronaviruses biohacking for a, quote, biowarfare enabling technology. So that's the reason I'm using that term, because that's his own language. That was 2005. In 2014, when they got the waiver of the gain of function moratorium sent by NIAID to UNC Chapel Hill, in that letter, they actually added something that was not part of the original protocol, which was an in vivo application of the gain of function weaponization of the spike protein around the Wuhan Institute of Virology virus. By the way, they even thanked Dr. Zhang Lishi at the end of the paper. They thank her for supplying all of the raw ingredients for the weapon. So this is not some sort of conspiratorial rant. It actually is, I don't know, something novel like literacy. Just read the freaking paper.
So you're you're saying that Ralph Baric got a special dispensation to go around the pause that Barack Obama put. Now, is that legal? Well, I thought that Fauci works for Barack Obama, but he can overrule Barack Obama?
Of course he can. Of course he can, because he can do anything he wants. This was never a presidential or executive function with respect to the weaponization of coronavirus. In 2005, it was the DARPA MITRE conference where Ralph Baric got the green light to turn what was then called SARS-CoV into a biological weapon.
And so this was manufactured, this COVID-19 virus.
Yeah, biowarfare.
What you're saying as a bioweapon by Ralph Baric at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill.
Absolutely, that is published material. There's nothing in an allegation there. That's reading it right out of the papers.
And so why did they wait until late 2019 to release this? Is it?
Well, they actually attempted to get everybody to fall for this during the 2018 influenza season, which, by the way, at the time was the most lethal influenza season we had had in the last 2 decades.
You had extra beds for that one.
I remember that they had beds in all the parking lots.
Beds for that one.
But they set up I remember that. In fact, I got sick that year. Horribly.
They put tents outside the hospital.
So go ahead.
Yeah, 2018 was supposed to be when it was going to happen, but here's the problem. The problem was people didn't fall for the flu shot. Tony Fauci cried to Congress, and so on September 18th, 2019, which for those of you, once again, not familiar with calendars, came well before the December date when we allegedly had patient 1 in Wuhan. On September 18th, 2019, the World Health Organization's Global Preparedness Monitoring Board said that there was going to be a, quote, deliberate or intentional release of a lethal respiratory pathogen so that by September 2020, the world would accept a universal vaccine.
Yeah.
So I think I saw that video. Is that on video?
Nope, that's a publication called World at Risk from the Global Preparedness Monitoring Board of the World Health Organization.
When did they have that fun zombie fight story?
So there was a video that I saw where there's 4 or 5 of these people, and Tony Fauci saying that, we have to make people afraid to make them.
Yeah, that video was actually preceding that. That was earlier in 2018.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember the war exercise about if there's ever a zombie apocalypse, and they were gaming it out, and it was like a wacky story, and it was like to teach them how to deal with pandemics. It came out right around then, and when you go back and look at, and I remember at the time,
October 2019.
Yeah, and
it was called Event 201.
That's the Event 201 thing.
Yeah, and it sounded like kind of funny. I remember the time like, people like zombie, but all the details are like how you get the people in the camps and get them full of shots. And it's, I guess, the fear thing is why
we literally had people being put in camps in Canada and in Australia, guys. Literally, that happened.
Well, here's the question I have. So if if you're saying that Ralph Baric and the DARPA
it was voluntary until you tried to leave.
DARPA and Tony Fauci, they manufactured this COVID-19 virus as a bioweapon. It's not much of a bioweapon because it has a very high.
Remember, this goes back. The patent that was filed in 2002, which was the infectious replication defective clone of coronavirus. Infectious replication defective means a weapon. It means that it actually targets an individual, but it doesn't propagate. So what it means is you have to actually put it in people. That's what infectious replication defective means. Because a virus, a traditional sense of a virus by the traditional definition, is actually something that has to replicate inside of the human being. But what Ralph Baric patented in 2002 was an infectious, meaning it gets into an individual, but it's replication defective, meaning it doesn't go through any natural transition of amplifying or actually propagating. That's the platform patent that Ralph Baric built so that SARS could become SARS. And remember, Jimmy, it's important to point out that work funded by Anthony Fauci in 1999 preceded the existence of SARS.
Thanks for joining.
He did not release SARS 1.0 until he had filed a patent on it the year before SARS 1.0. So this is an old game, not a new game. My first briefing of law enforcement intelligence communities was in 2002 on this particular biological weapon. And so I've been watching this thing as this slow motion Titanic wreck since 2002.
How do you know all this?
Sigmunk.
Well, that's my job. I know this about anything that exists anywhere in the world. My company, MCAM, underwrites every intangible asset in 168 countries, so we know everything.
Yeah, this is all below top secret information. That's my favorite part. All the crazy shit that the Pentagon in America does, that you would go, they wouldn't do that. Not only would they do it, it's not even classified. You just ain't going to see it.
So explain to me again why, if this was manufactured as a bioweapon, that it's not more deadly, right? Because it has a 99.7% survivability rate, right? And it only really affects old people.
It's a platform, though. You can add more stuff later, can't you? Once you install
Here's the
mRNA?
problem, Jimmy. So this is where the linguistics got all nonsensical in the first 3 months of 2020.
After due process,
so let's unpack a couple things.
JJ.
What people got was a manufactured synthetic spike protein, which was modified to actually have high degrees of symptomology and low degrees of infectivity, meaning that you get sick, but you don't transmit it to a bunch of other people, which is the reason why, as many people as want to do the anecdote about, but I was really sick in April of 2020 and I must have had something. Yeah, you probably had something. It was probably called the flu, or it was probably called the cold, or probably called something else. And you didn't actually have anything associated with this biological weapon until you got the shot, or until you got a PCR test. A lot of people seem to forget that in the first 3 months of this alleged pandemic, the CDC was accidentally shipping contaminated tests. Now, Jimmy, I don't know if you know anything about testing, but contaminated test is an oxymoron. You can't actually have a contaminated test unless it turns out that DARPA also funded and invested in a company that was co-funded by InQtel, which actually was a company that made test swabs which could carry lethal or sublethal agents. And that investment was made 3 years before this pandemic. So what you got was something you were exposed to, not something that you caught. No one caught COVID. No one caught SARS-CoV-2. And by the way, to this day, SARS-CoV-2 has never been associated with the existence of any disease at all. So, we can make up anything we want. The spike protein has been. The ACE2 receptor competition has been. But here comes the problem. The lethality count that we currently see in the normal population is because SARS, which we were told was deadly, is not. And it turns out that all kinds of coronavirus versions of models exist, and none of them are deadly. So let's get clear on that. But the shot, which was the mRNA injection, happens to be extremely lethal. And what we will see over a period of time is that its lethality is going to grow. What we saw in the first instance with the spike protein expression was things like clots, cardiovascular disease, and so forth. Not surprisingly, because in 1999, you heard that right, 20 years before SARS, in 1999, Ralph Barrick figured out how to make coronavirus infect heart tissue. That's why Anthony Fauci loved him so much. That was the project that got Ralph Barrick the seat at the table as the bioweapons expert on coronavirus, because he actually figured out how to make a gastrointestinal associated viral model go into what became a cardiac targeting device, which is what he did in 1999. If you fast forward, what you find out is that the spike protein has a very inflammatory response to cardiovascular tissue, and we've seen a lot of sudden death, and we've seen blood clots, and we've seen a bunch of things around that. But the nasty piece, far worse than the blood clots in the spike protein, is the fact that in the shots to stabilize the mRNA, they used a thing called pseudouridine, which is a synthetic nucleic acid substitute.
If this isn't blowing your mind, I don't know what will. This is insane. This is insane what he's laying down. The truth bombs that this guy has got. By the way, I see we hit over 50 people watching there on Rumble. Thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you for watching. I stream Mondays and Thursdays at 9:30 p.m. Central. This is what I call the Dozer Den. Become a killdozer in the Dozer Den. Subscribe to the channel or follow. At least follow. Smash that follow button. Smash the like button. Comment in the comments section. Share the stream out. Repost if you want. Thank you guys so much for joining. Glad to see you watching. Hopefully I can continue to earn your viewership. My goal is to inform and entertain. That's all I'm here for. And we get a little bit fun. Got a little AI protection devices on our heads. Especially with a topic like this, guys, all the conspiracy theories seem to be coming true. January 6th, UFOs, COVID being a man-made bioweapon, mostly with the shot anyways. All good stuff. All good stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate your viewership. Let's continue.
Which is put in the shot to stabilize the mRNA. And the bad news about that is in 2018, once again, a couple years before all this nonsense.
Yes, Sigmunk. This is definitely a tinfoil hat. It had to be done today. Had to be done.
Nonsense got going. Pseudouridine was identified as a pro-cancer agent. You heard me say that correctly. Pro-cancer. And it worked through two mechanisms. One was the natural suppression of your body's ability to fight cancer. And the other was it actually turned on metastatic disease where you had latent cancers, which is the reason why you see so many people who are discovered having stage 4 cancer. Stage 4 cancer is metastatic disease, meaning that it's going elsewhere in your body. And here's the problem. The problem is in 2018, we knew that pseudouridine was going to do that, and it was put in every single shot that went into every single person's arm. Now, it's a slow motion death. But the fact of the matter is, a vast majority of what we realize to be the mortality and morbidity data around the shots, we have only begun to see the real death counts. But the real death counts are coming.
Why would they do this?
To kill people.
Overpopulation, you know?
What does Anthony Fauci get out of killing?
Well, he gets hundreds of millions of dollars of undisclosed royalties, which now inconveniently for him are showing up in the financial statements of Moderna and will soon be showing up in the financial statements of BioNTech. So the hundreds of millions of dollars, where, by the way, in the fall of 2020, Congress asked for an investigation into the economic recovery that was going to come to NIH and NIAID for the proposed treatments that they were recommending. And cunningly, Anthony Fauci and NIH, Alex Azar, sitting at the head of the Department of Health and Human Services, lied to Congress and did not list a single one of the patents that they held on what became what we call the vaccines. Despite that, what we have is the companies manufacturing them paying hundreds of millions of dollars of royalties to NIH for patents that were never disclosed to Congress in the official request Congress made in the fall of 2020. So you can go back and look at that response from HHS to Congress. You can go back and look at the Inspector General's review, and lo and behold, you were not told that any of them were going to enrich themselves off of that. But let's take the second piece of your question, which is, okay, why? Go back to 2011, when the Gates Foundation and the World Health Organization got together and said that they were going to declare the decade between 2010 and 2020, what they called the decade of vaccines, in their publication and in the material that Bill Gates did in public presentations surrounding that publication. His goal was to reduce the global population by approximately 10%, which is
the Malthusian approach, guys, the Malthusian approach.
His number that he stated in public. Now, not good with math, but last time I checked, 10% of 8 billion people is 800 million people. Greater than the sum of all recorded wars of all of human history. And their goal was to eliminate 800 million people from the surface of this planet.
Good Lord.
So, I mean,
call it soft kill.
Even for me, this seems too diabolical to be true. I mean,
are you being serious?
Yeah, it sounds.
But Jimmy, this is the point. Plato wrote about this in the Republic. He actually said, and I'm going to use one of my favorite comedian spin-offs on this is Eddie Izzard, who actually spun off Plato when he said, in Plato, they call them temple robbers and grave robbers and everything else. But Eddie Izzard does a really cute bit where he says, if one person kills one person, it's murder, we get indignant. If one person kills 3 people, we call them a serial killer. If one person kills 10 people, we make a Netflix documentary around it and go inside the mind of the killer. And if one person kills 100 people, we start marveling at how did they pull it off. But when we actually cross another threshold, and this is what Plato talked about, when the egregiousness of the crime becomes too unimaginable at scale, we actually have no moral consternation at all.
I do. I believe it's on purpose.
You mean
100%?
You mean like in war?
Yeah, or how many of us really know what Pol Pot did in the killing fields?
So
how many of us really know what Pinochet did in Argentina? How many people really know how many people really died under Stalin?
Or
How many
under
people
us in our
really
last
know?
2
How
devil
many people-
sacrifice wars.
Right. Well, I mean, look,
These here's the problem. The problem is once we start talking about millions of
knows.
people dying, right? Our brains can't handle that. If 1 or 2 people die, we're sad. If 10 people die, we're not 10 times sad because we don't have the human capacity to 10 times sadness. And if 100 people die, we can't even wrap our head around it. But if 100 million people die, that's more than all the wars we know of.
so this is a diabolical plot by Bill Gates and the WHO and DARPA. That's what you're saying?
And the World Economic Forum and everybody who just decided there are too many people on Earth.
Remember the Georgia Guidestones?
And so they decided there's too many people on Earth, and
They've been saying it for years.
I know
They've been saying that for a long time. This goes back to the 1913 Carnegie Foundation's eugenics program.
Yeah, and the Rockefellers, and then that scumbag chick that formed Planned Parenthood, who was a Nazi, and the goal was to kill. And she said it in those words. That ain't right-wing propaganda. This crazy bitch said it.
So
they've been wanting it for a while.
So I'm gonna guess you got your booster.
Hey, my immunity feels low. I'm down to 2 bars of immunity.
So
I am very thankfully non-genetically modified.
I am. I got the first 2. I got
the goddamn Pfizer.
I got the Moderna. Now, Moderna is it true that the first product they ever produced was the COVID-19 vaccine?
Yeah, and it's worse than that. They didn't really produce it. The VRC, Kizzy Colbert, who is the celebrated African-American biologics expert at the VRC at NIAID, is the one who allegedly got the formula from Ralph Barrick to actually start making these things. And she has a lovely interview where she talks about how easy it was to do. She uploaded it onto her computer one night, was making it the next day. Just terribly fascinating. Makes you feel really good, by the way, about that, knowing that nothing could ever go wrong. I don't know if you've ever had anything go wrong with a computer uploading or downloading a thing, but thank God that didn't happen that night, because otherwise we'd all be screwed. But the fact of the matter is, Moderna, most people don't know, was actually a 10-year National Science Foundation project from 2000 to 2010 called Darwinian Chemical Systems. Hey, Jimmy, Darwinian Chemical Systems. You know what?
Yep, there you go.
Darwinian Chemical Systems?
Yeah,
That's the
these people
National Science
believe in.
Foundation grant that actually started Moderna.
Yeah, Darwinian.
And so they
chemical-
never produced a product, and the first product they produced just happens to make $100 billion. What are the? Wow, how lucky can you get? Right?
Well, when you got a great product.
Well, the great news is it's not only lucky, they have no liability for it. They have absolute immunity from the fact that anybody who got sick or ultimately will die from it. They have absolute immunity from all of it, except for what I'm doing right now, which is actually in the process of piercing that immunity.
So I'm going to show you this.
Godspeed to this
This was recently happened in Congress. Congressman Massey had, now this is a former head of the FDA, Dr. Croce.
Yeah.
And so
we got Massie again, guys. We got more Massie.
He's some kind of whistleblower or something. But let's watch. I just want to play this for you, and we'll talk about it.
I'd like to show a video that Pfizer produced. This was an ad for, I believe it's for the boosters, maybe.
You know that unwelcome guest everyone wishes would just leave already? That's COVID-19. That's why I got the new updated booster, designed to help protect against recent Omicron variants. Got it?
Okay, that's good. Given that they weren't, this was an EUA product, is there anything missing from this ad? Does that seem like a compliant ad to you?
Well, normally advertisements of products include some disclaimers, of course, in places you go for more information or a suggestion that one talk with one's physician and so forth. So it does seem like something is missing here.
I'm going to ask you, Mr. Siri, was the FDA, not Dr. Krause, but was Dr. Marks aware of this video? And isn't his, not within Dr. Krause's subdivision, but within a subdivision under
Absolutely,
Peter
man.
Marks? Aren't they responsible for policing these things? And did Dr. Marks know about this ad?
Absolutely. Our firm sent a letter to the FDA about this advertisement and others, including on Sesame Street, pointing out that they do not comply with the federal regulations and the federal law, because even the EUA itself issued for the Pfizer COVID vaccine said that anytime the EUA product was going to be promoted, there was a disclaimer that must be put on it saying, this has not been licensed as safe and effective. But nonetheless, that disclaimer, you do not see it on that advertisement. And when we pointed out to the FDA, they did not do anything about it. Even worse, the CDC itself actually violated the rule by promoting the vaccine as safe and effective when it was EUA. And we wrote a letter to the FDA saying, can you, you're going to enforce your rules against the CDC? And the FDA never took action.
Wasn't it the case that in 41 videos, Peter Marks himself, the person in charge of vaccine approval, was making claims that were not vetted by the FDA, and in fact would have been illegal for the manufacturer to make, yet the regulatory agency was making those claims?
And I'm not aware of any exception that would have permitted the FDA itself to violate a regulation, or I believe, or the United States Code in which it was that particular disclaimer is derived from.
I think the gentleman from North.
So, first of all, Martha Stewart is not a samurai. Samurais have honor. They would have gut themselves before disgrace. She is a Ronin and just honors the highest bidder. So just so you know that. So what they're saying there is that commercial that was made by the FDA, and the FDA was violating its own regulations because the booster was still under emergency use authorization.
So we popped up over 60 people watching here on Rumble. Thank you guys so much for joining. Don't forget to smash that like button. Follow the channel. Get us closer to 500 here on Rumble. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your evening to spend some time in the Dozer Den.
And that's what they're saying?
Yep.
And so they didn't run it. They're supposed to run disclaimers saying that, and they didn't do
Listen,
it.
every drug, Jimmy, that you've ever seen advertised on television has a whole list of this may cause dizziness,
Anal
limbs
leakage.
might fall off.
Yeah, and then you show a guy washing a boat, and he's like, "What are you saying? Something? I'm trying to wash a boat."
Yeah, trying to wash a boat.
I heard something about blindness. Hey, I got a boat.
And so here is the Sesame Street commercial.
Yeah.
I learned that Elmo get
This shit right here pisses me off.
vaccinated is the best way to keep himself, our friends, neighbors, and everyone else healthy and enjoying the things they love.
Oh, Daddy, Elmo and baby David have a question. Can we have a hug?
Oh, come here, son.
Oh, Elmo loves you, Daddy.
I love you.
Just dad.
The absolute state of the propaganda that was imparted upon the American population with that fucking Sesame Street ad. Oh my God. Elmo and Elmo's daddy talking about how to protect their children and protect the kids. You want to be a good parent? That freaking propaganda is for your kid, to tell your kid, oh, the kid's going to come and talk to mommy and daddy. Why haven't you gotten your COVID shot, mommy and dad? Do you not care about us? Do you not want to protect us, mommy and daddy? That's what that's designed to do. That shit is absolutely unacceptable. The shit that they were sending home with kids and from some public schools talking about getting your shot, trying to freaking propagandize your children to try to get you to do things to make you feel guilty. That manipulation tactic should never, ever, ever, ever be allowed again. And the fact that we let that shit happen and we looked at that and thought that that was okay, we thought that was okay for even a fucking minute, is absolutely insane. Nut the fuck up next time, America. When you see this shit, step to it and fucking confront it. That does not need to be allowed again. Do not comply. Absolutely make a fuss, make some noise, put that shit in its place. All right, back to it. Oh, I'm gonna have to refresh. It's not letting me share again. My rant broke it. My rant broke it, guys. I don't know what that 70% number, but I haven't heard anything about that, Trish. That's interesting. Let me see. Where is this going? Good Lord. Good Lord. If I have to refresh, I will see you guys in a second. It's not letting me share, so I'll be right back. I don't want to end the stream. Good Lord. All right. Glad to see we didn't lose too many people with the refresh there. Let me pull this back up and we will continue with this clip here. I do need to think about wrapping things up here shortly. There we go.
Emma wants to make sure Daddy gets the shots. Yay! Emma's so happy you got your COVID shot. Hooray!
No.
Emma doesn't understand why Daddy doesn't want to get the shot and make everybody feel better.
Fucking crazy.
It's okay to have questions about COVID vaccines for your kids.
Is it?
Get the latest facts by speaking to your pediatrician or healthcare provider.
$7.50 a head they were making, right? That was their bounty on sticking that in your kids?
Well, it's worse than that because pediatricians were getting paid as a percentage of the kids in their practice groups that were getting shot. So you actually got incentivized based on the percentage of children that got the shot. And somehow mysteriously, nobody bothered to point out to any parent that the spike protein seems to not only localize, but actually aggregate and perpetuate in reproductive organs. So the great news is not only are we going to have our children exposed to the high risks of cardiovascular disease and cancer, but we're also going to do everything we can to make sure that they do not have the capacity to reproduce.
Well, that's an old dream. That's a dream they've had for quite some time. So between that and then the giving them a gender affirming hysterectomy at a young age, we got every possible Nazi way to sterilize people, the useless eaters, I guess you call us.
I got to tell you, I was not ready for this.
So you already knew this.
No, I mean, I didn't know like this. No,
it gets much worse.
I thought that there was
things. We've scratched the surface of this. We've got 68 other pathogens that are ready for deployment.
Like Peter Hotez said, they're all in deck. They're ready to go, guys. Peter Hotez, that little fucking goblin of a man. Nope, not okay. Not okay with it.
Okay.
Cut his mic.
Okay. Okay. Can you stick around for one more second? I got to load in one more segment. Something about bird flu.
Hey, Jimmy.
Yes.
You know what you're doing? You know what you're doing right now, which is really good. No, it's really good. You're actually doing what every normal person should do when exposed to this kind of information, because this is the evidence of a moral compass, an ethical framework, all of the things that are lacking from the public discourse. And what you're doing right now is a massive, massive service to everybody who's watching this, because this is the feeling. The feeling you have right now is the feeling that we should have, so that we can actually recognize that the people who are doing this are actually not making oversights, accidents. This isn't a mere clerical error.
Malice.
This is premeditated. This is malice aforethought, and this is criminal acts. And what you're doing right now is what all of us should be able to do, which is to go, oh my God, it's a lot worse than I thought.
I mean, I bought the Echo Health Alliance thing. I bought that this,
Total cover story. That's all bullshit.
Maybe you thought Cornel West was real? Look, I'm into way crazier shit than this. Don't even faze me. Like we cover just regular news of the evil. Like these people are despicable. If they were at least like lizard people, that would explain it a little better. Like that would actually, okay, I get it. They're lizards. That's what. But just the regular stuff we cover every day. Of course they would do this. Why would they not do this?
So you're saying you Barack Obama is aware of all this?
No question. He was not only aware of it, he was briefed on it at the beginning of his presidency by the people who bought his presidency.
Codename Renegade.
And so we've covered excess deaths here, right? So we know that story, and we know that people are dying at 10 to 40% higher rates than normal, and that's not being reported in the regular pharma-funded news. And when I bring it up to people, I go, "Hey, you should look into excess deaths." They look at me like I got two heads, and so
that's the mind control part.
So I know that what we've been doing has been causing excess deaths, but I didn't know it was intentional. I thought that this was just some scam. But you're saying,
Jimmy, let's go back. No, let's go back. Let's go back for something. Remember, remdesivir. Ralph Barrett made it with Anthony Fauci's money
to kill people.
And let's just play for slow motion, just to get this into our heads. The World Health Organization pulled it from clinical trials in Africa because it was killing 53% of the people who got it. Killing them. And in the study that the World Health Organization used to pull that drug, they said that it was killing people regardless of viral load, which means that healthy people who had no Ebola were being injected with remdesivir and killed. 53% fatality rate from the drug. The World Health Organization said it was too unethical to use in Africa for Ebola trials. And Anthony Fauci sat next to the president in the spring of 2020 and said, let's use remdesivir for COVID. The World Health Organization said it was too deadly to be ethical.
So first of all, it sounds deadlier than Ebola.
It is deadlier than Ebola. There's nothing that has a 53% kill rate.
So you're
is naturally circulating.
So I knew Anthony Fauci was evil.
Well, I just touched a thing where he experimented on foster kids.
Yeah, and I know he experimented on foster kids with AIDS stuff.
But you think he draws a line at?
But this seems, this is like Pol Pot, Hitler, Stalin.
Yeah, it's above his head.
It's like combined, right?
It's the people in charge is above him.
Way, way, way past all of them.
They're worse than any criminal in human history.
So that's what I've been saying. even if the cover story was true and he funded the Echo Health Alliance, which created the COVID, and then you say all the deaths that came, so he's responsible for that. Even if the cover story was true, but you're saying it's way worse, that it's actually intentional. This is hard. This is hard.
It is.
Okay, so hang on.
So in 2015, Peter Daszak said, to get the public to accept the need for medical countermeasures, such as a pan-coronavirus vaccine, we need the media to create hype. We need to use that hype to our advantage to get to the real issues. Investors will respond if they see profit at the end of the process. That statement was made in 2014, published in 2015 in the proceedings
Profit
of the
at the end
National
of the
Academy of
process.
Sciences. That is a statement of domestic terrorism, a statement of racketeering, and a statement of coercive intent to kill human beings. And it was published in the proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. Jimmy, this is not an accidental slip up of overzealous people like Gates. This is a premeditated murder of humanity.
Hey.
That is what it is.
So there's no way I can drop this video on YouTube.
Hey, remember,
There's no, I'm not kidding. Like, there's no way.
I mean,
Like, they'll take my channel down. So are you getting this message out other places?
Yeah, 4 billion people have seen my European Union speech, which I did at the European Union Parliament.
It's a great
It's the most
speech.
downloaded video in human history.
And where was that? Where is that?
It's up on X, it's up on Rumble, it's up on BitChute, it's up on everything that can keep it up. And ironically, Google keeps trying to take it off of YouTube and it keeps showing up. So
But this is the former CDC director, Redfield, and this is what he had to say about the bird flu.
I'm obviously most worried about bird flu. Right now, it takes 5 amino acid change for it to be effectively infecting humans. That's a pretty heavy species barrier, but this virus is already now in 26 mammal species, as you saw most recently, cattle. But in the laboratory, I could make it highly infectious for humans in months because it's been published, the 5 amino acids that I need to change. And so I don't think that research would be done. That's the real threat. That's the real biosecurity threat, that these university labs are doing these bio experiments that are intentionally modifying viruses. And bird flu, I think, is going to be the cause of the great pandemic, where they are teaching these viruses how to be more infectious for humans.
So here it is. The U.S. is collaborating with Chinese scientists to make bird flu strains more infectious and deadly as part of a $1 million project, despite fears similar tests unleashed COVID.
Despite fears? Oh,
So-
could that have been what caused it?
Oh, it gets worse too. There's a company
Confirmed
called
now.
BEI Resources, which is a company funded originally
Tinfoil
by the
hat.
Rockefeller Foundation,
It's
now
real.
owned by NIAID,
Legit.
where you can buy H5N2, which is the bird flu virus that allegedly is running around the world infecting innocent people right now. You can buy it from their catalog, Jimmy, H5N2. When Redfield says that he's worried it might be available, yes, it is. It's sold in a catalog by BEI Resources. That's like saying that you might get, I don't know, Craftsman tools from Sears and Roebuck. No kidding. It's already there and you can buy it.
So what was Redfield doing there? What is your guess at?
Supporting the same cover story that everybody fell for.
Like, I'm sorry to share this with you guys, but I think this is people have got to see this. I think people have to know about this. This is important information. And if I can help spread this information just a little bit, even though it sucks, even though it's just like, oh great, it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. Something's being done though. It sounds like they're actually taking legal action to try to do something about this.
With coronavirus, he's pretending like this is actually a possible lab leak story. And it's not a lab leak story. It is the commercial release of a known scheduled pathogen that is for sale right now at BEI Resources. You can buy it.
Hey, when do we drop the new variant? Remember that text from
I remember
this
that.
guy? Yeah.
So here's Dr. McCullough, who got everything right during COVID, as far as I can tell. Of course, he was immediately
Well, except he kept calling it a vaccine when it was officially published in the Securities and Exchange Commission filings by both Moderna and BioNTech Pfizer as an experimental gene therapy. And as many times as I've said so, every time people say COVID vaccine, I sit there going, you're just promoting their BS cover story.
Well,
this was an experimental gene therapy, and it should never have been called a vaccine by anybody, including people like Dr. McCullough.
So I've been referring to it as that, and that it's not, and I had to remind people they literally in the dictionary had to change the definition of what a vaccine is, and that it was they in their own documents, as you prove, I was privy to this, that they refer to it as a gene therapy. So
yep, exactly.
So here's what he says. So I got afraid. I saw Dr. Redfield. I'm like, oh my God, they're going to do this again. But this one is probably going to be deadlier because I saw another video of him where he said that it has a 25 to 50% death rate, the bird flu. He said it will. And I'm like, so if 1 out of every 2 people are probably going to die if they get this, why would they be allowing them to be doing this? Why wouldn't he be screaming about it instead of talking about it in such dulcet tones? And then I see Dr. McCullen. He says this.
Wendy, I've got I've got an old encyclopedia set, and well, not a whole set, but there's like 4 of them, and I've got them on my bookshelf, and I've got them there for, hey, just in case stuff hits the wall, all technology disappears or stops working. At least there's some books we can read, right?
I mean, one of my patients told me for sure that they're coming on farms with hazmat suits, doing mass PCR testing of healthy animals. All that's going to do is raise a false case count and create orders for mass culling.
So let me ask you this, doctor. What do you think's going on? Because it's right before an election. They're trying to pass a UN treaty. They're hyping it. They want people to wear hazmat gear. It looks like a rerun of 4 years ago to me.
I would predict we're so ready for this, Alex. We know that iodine, nasal sprays, and gargles work fine. Wellness Company, we expanded our contagion kit. We know that Tamiflu and hydroxychloroquine work fine, started early. So we have this so well covered in humans. We shouldn't lose a single human with this. I don't think there's going to be a threat to mankind. I think this is a giant threat to the food supply because the response is this elective mass destruction of livestock. What I think should happen is I think we should
starve us out.
Get rid of all of this perfunctory testing and let the animals get through it. They'll get through this fine. We need an investigation to the gain of function research. It probably is being spread around by mallard ducks. I mean, it's in that duck population. It even spread to a dolphin off the coast of Florida. So I can tell you, it's in migratory.
Sure. So let me ask you this. I mean, obviously, though, they're rolling it out now for a power grab. It doesn't really affect humans. It's a bunch of hysteria. Knowing the bad guys trying to cover up the last evil thing they did with COVID, they need a new story to cover it up. We talked about this years ago. Disagree if you think I'm wrong, but then if you're in the enemy's brain, what do you think they're going to pull next?
They want mass vaccination, Alex. They want mass vaccination. We know that CSL, a company, Sequarius, has the Audience vaccine. It's an antigen-based vaccine. They developed it with BARDA, a research unit of the military. FDA cleared it in 2021 with no human data. Now they have pre-purchased enough vaccines for the entire country. Right after this antigen-based vaccine, Alex, they have a self-replicating messenger RNA vaccine. CEPI, the international organization with the Koreans, they have a self-replicating messenger RNA vaccine. I think the end game for the bad guys is mass vaccination.
So what do you say to what so it seems like it's not deadly, just like COVID-19 wasn't for healthy people, and that we could get through this with iodine washes and gargles and hydroxychloroquine. What do you say to all of what he said?
Yeah, well, listen, what he just laid out is absolutely correct. This is manageable. It's not going to kill people. It will kill people through fear and the fear response to get injections, and the injections will kill people. There's no question about it. Bill Gates said that over the next 5 years, every platform is going to be an mRNA platform. That means every one of them is going to be pro-oncologic, meaning it's going to stimulate cancers, and we're going to see epic levels of death from that. The only thing that's going to harm humanity from bird flu or any of these things is the fear response humans have to the propaganda and the willingness to take countermeasures, which are going to kill people. What Peter did bring up, which is actually very well worth pointing out, is the attack on the food supply is absolutely a real problem. And it's part of the longer game about getting behavior control and behavior modification. When you control the food supply and you control the monetary supply and you control health and movement, you have a acquiescent population. And so anything that humans can do to not engage in the fear porn that they're trying to do around this thing is going to be helpful. But I think that Peter is right. And I think Alex's comment and his commentary is spot on. They're doing this in run up to another election where we have to have the equivalent of the martial law we had in 2020, where you couldn't stand in lines without 6 foot distance, and you couldn't have public debate. You couldn't have conversations with people. You couldn't do any of the things that are part of a normal functioning democracy. And they're trying to do it again. And all I have to say is don't fall for it. It's not legit. It's not real. And nobody is going to die except from the interventions that are taken.
So
don't comply.
He said they already have a vaccine, but then I see this, and this is from July 2nd. It says U.S. pays Moderna $176 million to develop a bird flu jab. The U.S. government has given Moderna this money to an mRNA pandemic influenza vaccine that would work against bird flu. It says it wants to be better prepared for public health crisis, having learned lessons from COVID. Bird flu is not a big threat to people despite outbreaks in poultry and cattle, but experts want a working vaccine that could be quickly rolled out in case the virus mutates and becomes a problem. Vaccines using mRNA technology, which the Moderna COVID jab is also based on, can be produced more quickly. And the U.S. government says adding this technology to its pandemic flu toolkit enhances its ability to be nimble and quick against bird flu. This strain has been around for years in birds, but some other animals, including cattle, have become infected in recent outbreaks. Some believe the virus might one day change and start spreading easily among humans with potentially serious consequences. So far, there is no sign of this. One more
Just
slide.
coincidence.
In people,
Just
the virus
coincidentally
can
might
cause
jump.
symptoms ranging from mild illness, such as like nothing, to potentially fatal disease such as pneumonia, according to the CDC. So if they already have a vaccine, that's what Peter just said, McCullough, Dr. Peter, what are they doing? What is Moderna doing?
Increasing the number of cancer cases that you're going to see 3 years from now.
Yep.
This is nuts. I can't.
I'm moving out of California, so
So-
everybody's crazy and armed, and they at least be some kind of something will happen there. Here, it's the biggest. People are so stupid here. By the way.
So there's already. Okay.
Oh, remember 2008?
So, but the mRNA vaccine tech platform has no long-term studies, right? In fact, that was never.
Nope. As a matter of fact, not only it has no long-term studies, the first time we're going to see the first clinical data off of this study is in 2027, Jimmy. 2027.
Off of what study? This study?
Off of the COVID study, because the
Off of
COVID study doesn't get complete until 2027.
You know if they experimented on all of us with it?
You mean the study for the COVID-19 vaccine?
Yeah, that one doesn't end until 2027.
And so what happens?
Speed of science has slowed down some.
So what happens when that?
I'm sorry, but oh shit.
So they're going to get another EAU for the bird flu vaccine, you think?
Well, they'll get an EUA for it, and guess what? People will take it, and more people will die. And this is the point. We need to actually, as I've said many times, I said this on Alex Jones a couple weeks ago. This is the weirdest war I've ever seen where people run into the line of fire and get shot.
So you
and
mean
the pun is fully intentional.
So you mean go in to get this the treatment, the vaccine?
If you get an mRNA injection right now, you are actually playing Russian roulette on the best of days, and you're playing Gettysburg's charge on the worst of days. Don't do it.
Hey, you remember when the good guy? Remember it was called the Good Club. Things in the Guardian. It was after 2008. All the greats, all the Bill Gates, Soros, Oprah. Do you find the articles about how they got together to figure out how to save the world? But then the Giving Pledge came out of that.
Yeah.
And then that's when they said vaccines. In fact, I just went back and looked at the article again. It's all about how we got to get this vaccine thing going.
Yep.
So this is
And
right
that's why
after people were mad.
2010 was declared the decade of the vaccines.
Yeah,
That's
they were
why
mad about the housing crash. And that's when all the oligarchs said, hey, we got to kill a lot of these people. The Good Club. They met before that Bilderberg group. And it got a lot of press. And it's hilarious to read it back then. Bill and Melinda are still together. And they're all talking about how we have to worry about these vaccines, et cetera, et cetera. And then, women racism in Russia, of course.
So I don't want to show you. This is the last thing I'll show you, and I'll let you go. This has been.
And I've got 5 minutes, Jimmy. So
this has Ben Affleck's daughter giving public comment recently. I think this is. Here we go.
Hi, Violet Affleck, Los Angeles resident, first-time voter. I'm 18. I contracted a post-trial condition in 2019. I'm okay now, but I saw firsthand that medicine does not always have answers to the consequences of even minor viruses. The COVID-19 pandemic has thrown that into sharper relief. 1 in 10 infections leads to long COVID, which is a devastating neurological cardiovascular illness that can take away people's ability to work, move, see, and even think, stands to exacerbate our homelessness crisis, as well as the suffering of many people in our city. It hits communities of color, disabled people, elderly people, trans people, women, and anyone in a public-facing essential job the hardest. To confront the long COVID crisis, I demand mask availability, air filtration, and far UVC light in government facilities, including jails and detention centers, and mask mandates in county medical facilities. We must expand the availability of high-quality free tests and treatment, and most importantly, the county must oppose mask bans for any reason. They do not keep us safer. They make vulnerable members of our community less safe and make everyone less able to participate in Los Angeles together. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No, I just say, imagine a cross-country drive with Ben Affleck's daughter. How many states you think you could survive before you open the door and just tumble onto the freeway?
I mean, did Ben drink when he was pregnant? She's a moron.
I mean, I wouldn't get into that car to begin with. Remember, everyone and everything is dirty, and hell is made of crazy. And here's Ben Affleck.
His amazing
By the way,
daughter.
someone tweeted this out. That's Ben Affleck smoking underneath his mask. Can you believe that? Is that him doing that? That's it.
that is just crazy.
Oh my God.
The mind virus is fully taking over Hollywood. Why doesn't them just get vaccinated? He's using the proper pronoun. I thought Jiggly was the worst thing he made until I saw it.
Salty crack. That's a good one.
So, anyway, any last? I just wanted to show that to you because that was
Hey, are you worried we're losing our democracy like I am?
This is
yeah. Your government wants to
democracy.
kill you.
The illusion of democracy has been overrated for a long time, and I think it has been lost. I think we're in the process of gaining back something that will one day get us back on track to a civil society that actually has civil and society and principles and ethics and morality. And the fact of the matter is, conversations like this help advance it. So that's what I care about.
Okay. So do you? I can't get over what you told me today. And anyway, so why are you afraid?
I smoked.
Are you
He's
afraid?
flabbergasted.
Are you afraid for your life at all? Because I mean, they even came at me. They used Pegasus, which again, that's not an individual. That's a nation. That's a state. That's the CIA.
Yep.
You are afraid?
No, not in the least.
Why is that?
You got your booster. That's why.
Because I've been through this more times than I can count. Remember, I was the one that was asked to lead anthrax investigations in September 2001. That was not a very popular thing to do in the Bush administration when it turns out we released anthrax on the U.S. population from the U.S. government. My first congressional testimony was 1980.
See why I have the tinfoil hat on today, guys?
1983. I was 16 years old, Senate Armed Services Committee testimony. I've been doing this so long, and I've had so many people who tell me that there's all kinds of problems. And I'll tell you what, the fact of the matter is, my one speech in the European Union Parliament did more to destroy the World Health Organization's momentum than probably anything else. And I sit every day knowing that conversations like this are the ones that have the power, because it is enabling people to be informed, and an informed population has the ability to transform itself. So I'm not worried one bit. The fact of the matter is, we're going to prevail. We are prevailing. And the battle plans we have in terms of the legal actions we're taking are things that are going to actually advance the cause of humanity. And that's what I'm going to continue to do.
I mean, it's very brave of you. Honest, that's no joke. But you're talking about people who are slaughtering people on mass scale. Why wouldn't they just take you? Why wouldn't they?
Well, it turns out that there's a bunch of countermeasures about how my company and my actual personal life have been organized, where, let's just say, if I was not contained in this mortal frame, I'd be a bigger problem.
He's got a kill switch. He's got a kill switch to release some truth bombs. Damn.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not that easy as to take somebody out who said a thing, because they pile up. You know, Boeing, they're piling up over there.
Yeah, they take them out. All right, Dr. David E. Martin, I really appreciate you taking time. And should I direct anybody to something that you want them to see?
Just make sure that I try to stay visible on X. I try to stay visible. My wife and I do a lot on Fully Lived Out World. So check it out. And Jimmy, thanks for taking the time. It's an honor.
Thank you. Right back at you. Hey, I'll see you on tour in Las Vegas.
That was insane. That was insane, guys. Thanks for rolling with me through that. I think that was an extremely important interview. Dr. David Martin, Dr. David D. Martin, I think, on X. Jimmy Dore, also a good follow. We are going to go ahead and wrap up, and let's find somebody to raid really quick. First off, we talked about some stuff today, mostly COVID and Certification Day 2021 with the IG report talking about the Fedsurrection. It has been confirmed, y'all. It has been confirmed. We did have a MASSIE minute there in the middle talking about the CIA involvement in Syria, how we're paying for the rebels, the freedom fighters, to take over and hurt the Christians there, pretty much. And they're going to stir things up for Trump. I think it's going to be the next Ukraine. Probably. That's the goal anyways. Things are wrapping up there. And then we decided to play the David Martin interview with Jimmy Dore. A lot of information, very, very heavy, very information heavy. If you need to go back through and watch that again, I do not blame you. I still am trying to wrap my head around most of it, to be honest with you. So I'm going to find somebody to raid. Thank you guys so much for watching. Saw we had over 60 people watching at certain points on the Rumble stream here. Follow the channel, BillDozer74. Join the Dozer Den by being a subscriber for $5 a month. Get subscriber-only emotes, and your name is lit up in the most beautiful shade of MAGA red, guys. Hopefully, I can continue to earn your viewership. We are we're creeping up. We're creeping up on 500 followers here on Rumble. Let's check out, let's see if AP is still streaming. Let's do a little refresh here. Looks like Adonis Paul. Late night with Adonis Paul. Gotta pause it. Cop videos, there might be some nudity every now and then, so if you are a faint of heart, maybe Adonis Paul might not be your flavor. But I enjoy the show, so let's go ahead and do a little raid over there to AP. Good folks over there. It gets a little bit spicy. If you think I'm spicy, it gets even
even spicier on that channel. Let's go ahead and put it in here. We're going to do a raid. And I'm going to have to do it twice because Rumble's weird. Boom. Doesn't work. Let's try it again. And boom. Confirm. Raid initiated. Excellent. Excellent. We are raiding over to Adonis Paul. Thank you guys so much for watching. I stream Mondays and Thursdays at 9:30 p.m. Central here in the Dozer Den. Thank you guys so much for watching tonight. It has been a lengthy show. I was dirty rotten liar, guys. We didn't go for under 3 hours. Lady Dozer is probably passed out on the couch. I sincerely appreciate everybody who supports the channel. Share this out. Comment in the comments section. Repost. Use that repost feature, guys. Thank you guys so much for your participation. And Sanglant, the song. Real quick. We'll play the song real quick and then we'll roll out. I still got it pulled up over here. We got a song request from Sanglant and then we'll wrap up, all right? I'll roll out of here. It's not too long of a song. Actually, it's like 4.5 minutes. I don't know if we're going to play that whole song there, bud. House Me Teenage Rave. Not on stream. Okay. I'm getting a little bit tired. I'll keep it up on my laptop. Thank you guys so much for watching. I sincerely appreciate every one of y'all. Y'all have a good one.